to Riding on Eggshells Live, we think. I can never quite tell.
Oh, is it live now?
Yeah. Did you not want to go live at 9 o'clock?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
I can't see any of the things.
Time.
It is 9. I'm gonna put up YouTube so I can see me on.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. I'm going to try and get this working.
Give us a minute to do all the tech stuff.
Yeah.
So, Riding on Eggshells. Oh yeah, live.
There we go. All right. Welcome to our 4,000 subscriber. We've been online. I do need to listen to make sure the audio is okay here.
Yep.
4,000 subscriber celebration.
So currently we're just waiting for people to come and join because.
Sure. We can do some padding.
Yep. Can you hear us? Are we all coming through?
Yeah. Well, I don't hear yours. I hear mine.
Oh,
Some of the challenge is trying to get it so yours can hear.
Let me check with my headphones.
There we go. Our channel.
Oh, people are starting to come in.
Fantastic. That's good.
Oh no, it's frozen. Come on, live chat.
View docs. Where's my stats toolbars? Tools. Where's my chat? Okay, I'm just going to have to get up the chat in another window. It was just here a second ago.
I can see. I can hear us.
Perfect. Okay. Well, there we go. Now we've got the chat up there. And another chat. As well.
Ryan Turvey says, I can hear you both.
Fantastic. Thanks,
you.
Ryan. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So while we're still just getting these bits and last
Johnny
bits
Wombat.
and pieces. Johnny Wombat. Good to see you again, Wombat. We loved watching your show the other day.
Yeah.
It did take me a while to figure out who you were on the show, and then I was like, oh good, I'm not making fun of one of Wombat's skits. So just getting this set up. Do you want to do the talking?
Yep. So we think probably we'll stay live for a couple of hours, and because I like to plan things, we've got a whole section of things that we've got to talk about. And also questions that people have asked before the thing, and then obviously whatever anyone comes in to talk to on the chat. Gardy, good evening. Thanks for joining. Paul Hornstraw, we are here. And Terry's DR650 Adventures, hello there.
Oh, we've been watching your videos, Terry's DR650 Adventures. I've been watching some of those.
It's always good having other, with DR650s, there is such a community of DR650 riders. Like, we are part of a Facebook group called DR650 Club of Australia, and it is really like, what do they call it? One-eyed fans, where it's like DR650 or nothing else, you know?
Yeah, but people sometimes go on it and they're like, I'm thinking of getting a bike. I'm not sure about a DR650 or a KT and some other bike. And you're like, well, why have you come to this place?
Yeah, they're obsessive over it, which is awesome because you go to them and you're like, any issue you've got, help me. And it's like a font of all knowledge about the greatest bike in the world, you know. I've also, as we did on our last one, I've got a bottle of champagne to celebrate our 1 year since we posted our first video.
Yeah, what was our first video? That was the bike exploded. Yeah, I remember now.
Yes, the bike exploded, which was all the way back last March, I think that happened. And it took us 6 months to get a video together. Johnny Wombat, how weird, I just went to Facebook to see when you was going to do this. Yeah, we posted 5 days ago to say, let's do a live chat. And then here it is. There should maybe have been something where maybe we'd posted it earlier and people would have known to sort of be here on time, but we didn't figure that out.
Oh, like some sort of reminder or something like that?
Or, you know how like when you schedule the new episode, so then people can see that it's scheduled.
Oh, sort of doing a premiere, yeah, so people know when to turn up.
Yeah, but couldn't figure that out. So
weren't able to, no,
it's we're here. Terry's DR650 Adventures. Yep, DR650 all the way. Well, obviously you would think that. You've put it in your name.
You've chosen. You're like, what happens if Terry suddenly doesn't like it anymore?
Yeah. What about when the bikes are gone? When they've stopped manufacturing the DR650?
Oh,
what are you going to do with
day.
yourself?
It'll be a sad day. Goodness, they're nice. They're nice bikes. I mean, not the best looking. I was kind of hoping that having such an ugly bike would mean that nobody would try and steal it. But those of you who have been watching the episodes will know that somebody did try to steal it. It's just the good news is they failed. So here we go. I'm trying to get this one. Oh, pop! Nice bottle of Bolly. Goodness, look at us splashing out 2 bottles of Bolly in 6 months.
Well, I bought 2 bottles for Easter, so then we had 1 bottle for the 6-month 3,000 subscriber episode, and then we've had nothing else to celebrate because we've not done anything because we've sat in our house for 6 months with a. I mean, are you guys aware there's a crisis?
There's something stopping us from leaving the house.
Yeah.
Do forgive me for being a bit distracted while I'm trying to get some of this to work. So Liz is going to keep
padding.
Not padding. Patter. What is that? What they call it when the magicians do the like bits where they're like before your very eyes, and they like just do all this sort of.
That's it. I've got some cards. I've got
rabbits.
Like cups. We're gonna
rabbits hidden in interesting places.
Daniel White. Hi there, guys. Love your channel. Just binge watching all your videos. Thanks very much, Dan. There's a few to watch by now. I think we've got about 50 episodes or something like that. So there's a few to get through. Have you found a favourite? Ryan Turvey, love a review between the Himalayan and the DR650. Yeah, we have been talking about doing at least doing a DR650 one.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. It's 9 p.m. where we are, so definitely into wine drinking time. Yeah, we've been talking about doing at least a DR650 review. 9 p.m. But it's that you want to think of like an original angle for it because it's such an old bike,
There's
know.
So many reviews out there.
It's a
very popular bike.
So we're trying to think about it. But yeah, there's something about yeah, it might not be a bad idea but it's quite limiting to go just those 2 bikes. But there's definitely something about.
Dean McGuire's back again. There's something about. Sorry, I always interrupt Liz in case you haven't noticed that. I deliberately edit them out.
Yeah, there's something that we can do that's like, I don't know, in that talking about bikes in that area, and I don't know. We've been trying to figure it out to come with the right angle for a video, but there will be a video.
That has just made me think of an angle that could be interesting actually, which could be the DR650 stock is perfectly fine, absolutely fine. Just need to change the seat, and so you make this like review that is like by the end of it, there's not much stock DR650 left. Yeah. It could be an interesting angle.
Because that's very different about the bikes, right? The Himalayan, you don't really have to do like for the bike that you want to buy the stock bike really. You want to put on some
bark busters.
Yeah, and like small changes. You know, you might put the racks on and that sort of stuff. The DR650, and you've got an adventure bike. The DR650. Because if you're going to buy it as an adventure bike, which I think most people, that is what I would say you want to buy it for. Because if you buy it as just a dirt bike, you would get a lighter bike. If you're buying it as a commuter or like a more roady bike, you'd probably you might want something with a bit more of the nice things like ABS and all that sort of stuff. So it's this limited sort of adventure area. But if you're buying a bike for that, then you've got to do so many changes to make it the perfect bike. It's such a different bike to most bikes because there's very few I think where you buy it with, $6,000 in mods you want to do to get it to what you want to.
Ryan Turvey said something interesting here, which is I'm guessing what you're saying here is make a review for the new adventure rider or for a beginner rider. I think that could be an interesting one because it's such a big investment. I started watching this other channel. These quite funny chaps in America on, I think I've shown you some of their videos, Liz. where they're riding big GSs and they clearly don't know much about what they're doing. And it's quite funny, but you're also like, they're stacking it on rocks on these big, very expensive, shiny motorcycles. So perhaps that could be the angle, being like, is this bike beginner friendly? Because the other thing is the GS is actually beginner friendly simply because it does so much of the riding for you. Yeah. And it's like, oh, what's that? You rolled on too much throttle and you would have actually looped it or just slid out or whatever. No, it just sort of backs off the gas a bit for you and helps balance your braking front and back, so you can reef on as much handbrake as you like, hand lever brake, and it saves you.
But yeah, again, it's like a different bit of riding though, because I mean, when we went for that ride with the Sydney Adventure Riders, if you watched, it was that big ride with 20 of us. The last ride I did with the Himalayan. So I'm interchangeable. Himalayan. Who knows?
Oh yeah, you said it right. Well, right. There's a lot of debate about that. Himalayan. Kaise bolte hai yaar? Himalayan ya Himalayan?
Any opportunity for Harry to bring out the Hindi.
I love speaking Hindi. I don't get many opportunities to.
But yeah, when we went on that ride, there was the guy on the GS, and it was amazing him getting up. But you did also, when he was going up and when he was getting into trouble, which actually he did pretty well. He didn't need much help at all. But on the times when he did, people were not happy.
Yeah, because you need 6 people to wrestle him out of the mud, out of the rut or whatever.
Yeah, whereas it was a bit of a different story with, like, even though, the Himalayan's, like, heavy compared to the, a lot of bikes.
Yeah.
It's not compared to a GS, you can pick it up, it's okay.
Because I do think, we're going to get onto a section later where we're going to talk about comments and how so many people, well-meaning people, are like, you're doing it wrong, you've got the wrong bike, you're riding wrong, you're wearing the wrong boots, your hair's parted to the wrong side. But one of the criticisms, I think it's also interesting that the criticisms that bite deepest are the ones where you're like, I know. And one of the things I do keep thinking about is when so many people are like, why did you get her a DR? You should both be on WR250s. And I'm like, maybe we should have.
Well, no, we love the WR250. Like, that is an awesome bike.
Yeah,
like, absolutely awesome. But, and like, if we could have a garage, if we could have somewhere to put our bikes, we would have 2 bikes, and we'd have a WR250, because they're just incredible bikes. But they're not pack horses like the DR650.
The WR.
It's like, it's quite, what do they say? It's quite what do they, like, it's quite...
G'day, Dodger. Good to see you here. Yeah, it's quite sensitive, like twitchy on the throttle limit.
Yeah. So
and
I think
they couldn't carry what we need to carry, I don't think. Like, we are 2 big things. I've got this giant plastic top box you would have seen that's got drones and laptops, and I think I'd be, because I'm about 100 kilos, a bit lighter than 100 kilos, I hope. Lockdown's been packing it on for me. Has anybody else been ballooning during lockdown? But I would have about another 100, maybe 100 kilos worth of gear. I just don't think a WR could handle that all day on motorway. Once you get to the dirt, you'd be so glad you're on a WR.
I think it's great for the engine, right? If you're because the idea is that we have a bike to travel the world with when you can now leave Australia. They've recently said, no, we're not opening borders for another year or something like that. So.
Well, yeah, they're going to revisit it at 12
June
months'
or
time,
something, yeah.
There's something about it, you're coming from a hotspot, I'm not quite clear. Yeah, Johnny Wombat said stick with air-cooled. I kind of agree with that. I think reduce the complexity. It's one of the things I got into some heated debate with somebody on Reddit ages ago where they're like, this is my apocalypse bike. And it was some really fancy fuel-injected crotch rocket that they'd given a really cool styling to. Like, it was this sort of Mad Max styling. I was like, styling looks cool, but that is absolutely not an apocalypse bike. Let me tell you, as an apocalypse enthusiast myself, that's just not how the bike you get. You get something really simple that you could basically hand machine parts if you needed to. A carburetor is already complex enough. But what are you going to do with electronic fuel injection when the chip fries?
Yeah, it's kind of that, you go between it, because if you get stuff like the EFIs and all these like modern things, it means that they're less likely to break, but when they do break, you can't fix it.
Yeah, you're stuffed.
So it depends on how if something does go wrong, are you able to get somewhere easily to fix it? So, yeah, the older bikes are like this thing with the DR650, because they're talking about next year is the last year, certainly in Australia, that they're allowed to sell it, because we've got these
ABS rules. Because Australia won't let you do anything unless it's been signed off by a gaggle of mothers.
Yep.
What's that? It goes fast. No going fast. Does it have a seatbelt? It's a motorbike. Put a seatbelt on it anyway. VMAX rider from Portugal. Thank you for your big hug. I love a big hug from anywhere in the world, but particularly from Portugal. It's a beautiful part of the world.
great videos. Me and my wife saw them all. Ah, awesome.
Oh
Thank
wow!
you.
I really
when
like.
people watch it with their wives,
Yeah.
and like I love that, because we're like that. We just sit and watch YouTube videos together.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so nice.
Yeah, simple to work with. That's why I chose the DR, says Terry. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So should we talk a bit about what we've got coming up?
Yes, absolutely.
So here's what. Look at this. I've been setting this up for weeks now because I partly do training from here. So I've got this fancy show on. So we're going to do a few things today. We've cut together a video of all of the crashes, which you'll see up there at the top. So we're going to go through some bits of watching lists.
That was good watching them back.
And myself. Do some crashes. People asked last time about a camping gear review, and then I interrupted Liz and didn't let her. So
yeah, so we thought I've literally just got some pictures from the internet of the things I've got. Most of it's not going to be much of a review, but we'll talk about what we've got.
We've got a bit at the end of going through stupid comments. Our least favourite comments, because our most favourite are usually really nice, but
we're very lucky. Basically, 99% of everything we ever get is really like awesome comments. Like even if they're telling us off or something, it's usually in a pretty good-natured way. And here's how you can do this, or here's.
You need to do a course because I want to see you guys keep making videos, and I'm a little bit like, I know, and thank you, but still.
But yeah, so I went through some of our old videos. So Harry hasn't looked at the comments yet. So he's the one who gets really annoyed by them. So
well, I just love arguing. I love it so much, the arguing, that I'm like, why? Why would I not? Why would I not do that?
Yeah, I always just ignore like the stupid comments, but then I come back a couple of days later and I see this big discussion that Harry's been having on the net with some idiot.
So much fun.
So
goodness, look at that. Well, look at what Paul Hornstra said.
Liz, you've inspired my wife to start riding at 48, thanks to you. Oh, that's awesome.
Fantastic. Really good. Get on board. It's so good, isn't it, riding
What
motorbikes?
is she riding? Riding?
Stumbled across your channel a week ago. Well, welcome, Skippy I was going to say Skippy McD. That's your new name now, Skippy McD. I'm glad you like our channel. I hope you didn't like your name too much because it's different now. You've got a different name. So we're also going to talk a bit about some other YouTubers that we like. We're going to talk about trying to plan an upcoming trip. We're going to show a video we made before we started making, and I think it was actually making that video it made us be like, oh, it'd be great fun to make videos.
Yeah. This was before I owned a bike. It's a different two-wheeled adventure.
Yeah.
It's only a couple of minutes. I'm sure you can put up with not being on a bike for 2 minutes. And then the video, because people were asking, so the last video we showed was Harry doing a valiant effort with a group of guys trying to
showing off with my edits.
Trying to rescue a XT250?
WR250, wasn't it? I said XT, but he said WR.
Oh, there we go. Trying to rescue it from the
mud,
Lemon Tree Road mud.
Mm-hmm.
And people were asking, what did I get up to?
Yeah,
or at least I think that people were asking, what did I get up to?
I think everybody just figured, she rode ahead because she wasn't towing a bike. It was probably a lot easier, but we made an edit for you anyway.
Yeah. So, it's only a couple of minutes of how my ride went. So a few falls and things.
Yeah.
And then chatting about any mods we've got planned on the bike and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I can see Robert Belasco has joined us and said he has a much modded DR. He'll probably be actually able to give us some suggestions because we're talking about suggestions we're doing, the mods we're doing, but absolutely happy to hear your suggestions. And you can see also hidden behind Liz's head is ask us anything, suggest anything. We want to try and make this interactive to keep you on board. So we've been going 20 minutes now. Should we start talking about some camping gear or something?
Yeah, we can do.
XR200's a nice bike. Yeah, WR250R.
She's
See,
getting
I'm
the
looking
basics down on an old XR250. What is an XR250?
XR250 is like an
XR200,
old,
sorry.
XR200's like an old farm bike. We used to have XR200s, 250s, and 450s at the farm where I grew up. I used to sit on them in the shed. Never started them up. I just sit on them and be like, ride them for hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The right kind of bike then. Nice and off-roady.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, do you want to tell us about your camping gear?
Yeah. It's finally this week, it's been warming up. I know like people who don't live in Australia like to say that Australia doesn't really get cold. But now that I've been here a year and a half, I'm firmly on the side of it gets cold, right? It might not get to, English cold.
Yeah.
But it definitely, you sometimes have to wear a coat.
This
A thin
makes
coat,
fun
a
of,
thin
it's
coat.
funny. This makes fun of our winters not being very bitter, and then should I wake it up and tap on our face?
Tap on my face. Oh, there, I'm back.
There you go. Just needed me out of the frame.
That's right.
It's like that doesn't look like a face. That looks like a face.
Yeah, so it's finally getting around to warm enough. So we are getting back out the camping gear and hoping, I need to speak to my manager, but hoping to go away soon. So thought we would show you what camping gear we use when we go out. So most of this is not the best camping gear in the world, but we'll show you what we got.
Awesome. Okay. So first thing, tell us about your tent.
Tent, right. Oh, I wrote down a list of what they're all actually called. So our tent is called a Nemo Galaxy 3-man.
How'd you find it?
It was the one... Oh, wait, no. We got this one online, right? Because we went into Anaconda.
Oh. The guy from Anaconda's like, just buy it online.
Well, we went into Anaconda, basically, when we had to buy all our camping stuff. And so we were like, right, well, that's there. But we were looking at the tents, and there wasn't really anything. So this one was...
something that was compact, but was 3-man and was 3-season, I think.
Yeah.
Just didn't have anything. Well, they did, but it just wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good stuff. So this one, I think that there was a good sale on it, and it's pretty in green, so we got it. And we saw some YouTube videos, and they look pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I think I was watching Itchy Boots' latest stuff. She did camping in her latest video, or the one before that, I think. And she has a Nemo as well. She's borrowed off her friend, but I don't think it's the same one because it has a side thing. I don't know, it didn't look the same anyway. But Nemo, awesome, really good brand. Love the tent. It's got so much room. It's like so wide. We've done do some of our videos inside the tent, and it's like we can just fill it with so much crap because we always bring way too much stuff. And
just the tent poles. That's one of my objections.
It has that thing where because it's the design is on the inner. So it means you can pull back the roof and look out to the stars and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, because you wouldn't be used to those kind of tents. Being in the UK, it's like, how can I add 4 more layers to this thing?
Well, all the tents that I've ever had previously, you peg to the outside, so with the idea being that it's probably raining when you're putting up the tent, and then afterwards you put the inside in. So no, awesome tent. But the problem is it's slightly too wide, slightly too long. Like when you put it back in the bag, this is.
Yeah, tent poles are really hard to fit in anything.
Look how wide that is. Oh, it's green, so it doesn't show up very well.
It's see-through.
Oops. Look, I'm disappearing. That's awesome. But yeah, massive, which means it doesn't fit in his pannier.
The fabric folds down even more than that. I think it's got a lot of that bulk because they had to have the tent poles in, and I'm sure they do research in R&D going how short can we get them.
The tent poles are great because they're all it's just one, isn't it? It's not 3 tent poles. It's one thing that you just
you hold
becomes
the
like
hub,
a spider.
You hold the hub right in the middle there, and then you can sort of almost waggle it, and the arms sort of pop into place. Not always, but it's very easy because you don't have to get the right poles and remember which order and hang on, I've got the crossways one. This is a long ways one. So that bit's quite good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
next, tell us about sleeping.
So not much interesting in the sleeping, I think. My tent is so cheap. Mine's the red one.
Sleeping bag is.
Oh, yeah, sleeping bag. Oops. I have a super cheap tent because I used to go on bicycle touring in the UK. So I've got a really nice sleeping bag and a really nice mat. So even though I have no way of getting that stuff to here, I'm like, I'm not buying them again. So I've just bought the cheapest crap. So I've got like the cheap stuff and Harry's got the nice stuff. So look, my tent is this just cheap thing that is so big. My tent, my sleeping bag. Look how big this is, right? And then here's Harry's.
Yeah, I intentionally.
Oh, it's green again.
Yeah, I intentionally got one as small as possible.
Look at that.
Like, I wanted to, yeah, pack away. Obviously, it's one of the major things. And Liz got this sleeping roll. Do you still have that around? Where is it?
Oh,
It has taken such a battering because it was on the outside of the bike, and Liz crashes a lot. I don't know if anybody's been watching long enough to know that.
What?
Chamber's kicking in, Liz.
Look how disgusting this is. It's so ripped. It's ready for the next season of camping, I think. It's disgusting. But that's my mat.
Got an interesting question here from the Indian, which kind of goes back to the bike thing. We'll get to the end. We'll come back to that after we've done the camping.
We've only got another couple of minutes to do on this.
Yep.
This is Harry's, which is like green again. Everything he buys is green. He's obsessed with green. Which is like self-inflating wonder mattress. Yours is a lot nicer than mine, isn't it?
Yeah, you just sort of you roll it out, leave the valve off, and it's sort of the elasticity in it is sort of springy, so it sucks air into it. Then you only need to blow up the last little bit, and it's pretty good.
Johnny Wombat, Harry Potter cloak of invisibility camp gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that in real life too. That's not green screen. That's how it is.
It's how we plan on not getting robbed when we're allowed out of the country and we don't need to face bandits. It's like, hang on.
And then hope they're watching through a screen. And then the only other thing is that we both have these liners, which Harry has never used.
Oh, we didn't need to get to that yet. Sorry.
Oh yeah, there's these like liners which are like little fleecy things. Harry's never used them because he sleeps so warm.
You can see my mouse swirling around that. Yeah, I'm
it's here,
okay.
This thing.
Yeah, it's just a sort of silky kind of bag that fits inside your sleeping bag.
Fleecy. It's lovely.
Fleecy. There you go.
I love it because I sleep really cold. So I love that. I think it's awesome, and it takes up pretty teeny. It's bigger than you can get silk ones that are smaller, but yeah, love it. Okay, and then the last thing is our cooking. We use the Trangia. Oh no, my arm.
There you
the
go.
Trangia. Which is so much fun to cook with. It comes in like a teeny little. Is it Swedish? I don't know why I said that. Swedish.
It's Swedish, made by the Swedes.
I don't know why I said that. Yes, made in Sweden.
They haven't changed this thing. I went to
It's like not even a year old. Look how battered.
They got battered. I went to a 6-month camp with my school where we'd go camping each weekend. Hang on, give me my focus back. It'll come back. It'll come back. It'll come back. No, I'll get off the screen. Boop, there we go. And we used to use those, and that was a good 25 years ago, maybe something like that. And then I went to go buy another Trangia, going, oh, I wonder what they look like now. Exactly the same. Not a single thing has changed. Even the silly bits about how these slots, very thin bits of aluminium metal, it seems like the whole thing's made out of, slot into one another, and if you bash it at all, like hiking you do, when it's on the outside of your pannier, you might crash on it or lean on it a bit, and they'll bend in a bit. They haven't changed at all. It's just you got to get a knife and just bend it back out, but it's great. They're really good.
Yeah, we love them because you get in that tiny little thing, you get 3 different pans. You get 2 pans, a saucepan. Oh yeah, the picture's there.
Yeah, you can see all these pots
2 pans,
and
a saucepan, and then it's all heated by camping oil.
Yeah, you get this little.
The only problem we get is that in Australia they quite often will put on camping bans and fire bans. And there's 2 stages of fire ban. The first stage is that you can't use
solid fuel. Wood.
Yeah, wood and things, solid fuel, yeah. Which is fine for the Trangia. Which is why we went for a Trangia and didn't go for those because you can get the wood burning ones, which I like the idea of, but it's so often they say you can't use them. And then the second stage is they'll say you can't use liquid fuel either.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's a bit annoying, and then you have to just eat raw potato. Dry
do you
pasta.
use gas burner for the Trangia? I highly recommend it. We don't actually. We just use the Metho. So what, you get a separate little thing I imagine, Daniel said this in the chat, I imagine you have to pump it up a bit or something like that. Yeah.
Dodger says compact gear is the way to go. Self-inflatable mattress and warm sleeping bag that opens out. Yeah, that's what Harry's got, essentially. I've got the cheap stuff.
And I see Rocky Mountain ATVMC. I watch a lot of their videos. They make tent poles and you can lash it on the outside. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, see, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if somebody had started up in the market of going, there's enough of a market for moto camping that I can make something that's partly for hikers, partly for cyclists, partly for motorcyclists, and sort of point out the advantages to that, which is like, because one of the things, like I was asking these weird questions. Well, maybe it wasn't that weird a question, but when we went to Anaconda, the camping shop for those outside Australia, I was being like, okay, so I want this to be able to take a fairly solid hit. And the guy's like, what? And I was like, well, it's going to be on the outside of my bike and I'm not very good. So I'm going to crash with this in the bike. Is that going to be okay? So yeah, it would be an interesting market, I think.
That's definitely a good thing to look at. Because yeah, it was that issue was the tent poles. And we want the tent poles to be sort of protected. So we want them to be able to be strapped somewhere that it's not going to fall on. But we also don't want them to be in this pannier because then we can't roll the pannier down.
Yeah.
Use gas canister similar to jet boil, great temperature control.
I've always been worried about these gas canisters. You might be able to tell me. I'm even a little bit nervous about the just the methylated spirits. I've always worried about the gas canisters that if I took a hard hit, you know, if I sort of laid her down on the motorway or something, that it wouldn't, like the method's going to burn. That I would worry that the gas bottle would explode. Because I did talk to somebody, that was one of the things that got me scared, and I went back to this because this Trangia is, you can see from the size of it, quite a bit bigger than most other camping stoves. Mind you, most other camping stove is just the cooker, and then you have to have the pots as well, so it ends up bulking out again.
I used to use again, when I was cycling, you've got to be much more weight conscious, and I used to have just the little round. What are we calling them? Gas canister. Yeah. And then just attach a little metal thing, 3-prong thing to put the pan on.
And they heat up so quickly, don't they? Like this, you sort of...
They're great. They are great. But my thing was that I was constantly worried about them falling over. Yeah, because you've got the naked flame is sort of right there, and there's just not this, it was super tottery. Whereas with this, I feel like it's nice and low and secure, and I don't know, I just feel like everything wraps up very nicely and doesn't take up much space.
So Johnny Wombat said Itchy used petrol the other night. That's one of the things I like
about
this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Have metho, but yeah, if you run out.
And she had the traditional one. She had the old, like, where they use the, you know, where they have like a sort of foil round wind.
Oh yeah, you make a little windshield thing.
Yeah, I saw that.
And, go on.
Go on.
Then last of all is this mini presso. The
most important of all of our camping gear.
So necessary, because I pretty much plot our paths around like, right, so we're going to start in this campground and then we're going to ride an hour through dirt to get to a cafe. Where's the cafe? And in Australia, it's low population density. Where is all the people? So my mate who works in the mines actually told me about this thing, and it is pretty darn good. I have some challenges with it. So what this does is it makes espresso, not ordinary coffee. You make espresso with ground coffee. I actually made a review that I thought was somewhat amusing.
We did it on our Instagram, but it cut out halfway through. And I don't think Harry ever noticed that it cut out halfway through, even when someone commented and went, because I think it was as he'd gone to go and get some milk or something. He's like, oh, I suppose you're never coming back with that milk.
That's quite funny.
And Harry just never even noticed that had happened.
I sometimes don't notice when people are giving me feedback. I'm like, why, thank you. And they're like, it wasn't a compliment, Harry. I'm like, oh, stop it.
So if you want to see half of a review.
It's on YouTube. Hang on. I think the review's on my own YouTube channel, though. I'm not going to put it on the screen. So it's quite cool. You load it with these little capsules, which you can preload at home, so it feels a little bit like you're playing with a gun. And then you pump. So you use this sort of a thing. You put your hot water in there. You've got your coffee capsule in the other end. This, oopsie, I'm going to hit the mic now. This is your cup, and then you pump using this hand pump.
It's so good. It's so good. Makes such good coffee.
My only objection is this cup doesn't have any fixing. It doesn't have a bayonet fixture or something. It just sort of pops on. And if you have this thing screwed all the way in, it won't it's just tiniest little thing. It's my only objection. Wakako, if you're listening, sort yourselves out.
Johnny Wombat says, I met a guy on the Nullarbor that had a gas one explode, burnt bike, but he saved it.
Yes, this is exactly what I'd heard. Somebody, maybe it was your story. No, I think I heard this story face to face from somebody where they said they were riding behind somebody and their tail pack just exploded. And they were like, what happened? And I think I'm thinking two things. One is a very, very hot day, or the other is could be both actually, come down from quite a height, something like that. And yeah, that just gets me a little bit scared when it comes to that. Yeah. Yes, I've seen biker bits, absolutely.
Return to our main screen, and
Sure.
then we can catch up with some of these questions we've been missing out on.
There we go.
So...
Producing. I'm a producer. Have you seen Biker Bits? He's done a couple of bits on camping gear. Yeah, I like Biker Bits' channel. He's really good. We should have put him in the thing. I quite like. Is Biker Bits as well? Is he the guy with the DR that does all those like how to do the thingy and?
He always does his things in this shed. He did a funny thing where he's like, we have to appease the gods of the...
Yes, yeah, he's the funny guy. Yeah, I like him. But
Of...
he makes his videos very irregularly, doesn't he? Or has stopped now or something.
I haven't figured out if he's got a pattern to it. But we are subscribed.
Yeah, we are subscribed to him. Oh, I haven't hit the bell. Now I've hit the bell, yeah. So, he did. He's just uploaded something about a rescue swag. Okay, so he's just done something on camping stuff. So if you're treading on your toes there, Biker Bits, great channel. Excellent. All right, so what other chat do we have to catch up on? Let's take a look at it over here.
Yeah, so that was the question that you were saying about the Indian.
Yes,
guys,
so the Indian.
Could you
Can I
tell...
speak? मैं हिंदी बोलता हूँ यार. What would you say are the issues with the Himalayan that they would need to fix?
Yeah, so it's could you tell how much more the Himalayan needs to improve when compared to what you have now?
I don't think the Himalayan needs to improve. I think they just need to come out with a new bike. And the new bike, in my opinion, needs to be more powerful, taller, with more clearance, and a taller, thinner front wheel. Thinner is tyre choice, but 21-inch front wheel, or 18, I'm forgetting whichever it is. If it's a 17, it's got to be 18. I forget the numbers, but it needs that taller front wheel because I found Puja to be really unsteady on at slow speeds on dodgy terrain.
Is it 17, 19 then?
It could be. Whatever the front wheel is, it's the smaller of the. It's a kind of middle ground that a lot of the biker companies go for. Oops, we've lost that video. We're going to just switch to our cheap camera here.
It says
for
that
a
it's a
moment.
2117,
Yeah, rightio.
which is what we have,
Which is Are we 2117?
aren't we? I thought the DR was 2117.
Oh, check.
Wait, where are you? DR650 Adventures? Terry? Screen gone blank. All good.
Yeah.
We're back. We've swapped to our backup webcam because I think the battery went flat on our main camera. 2117. Yeah, which I'm come on,
So
Terry,
there's something-
give us the numbers. I'm pretty sure the Himalayan has a good front wheel. I don't think it needs to change that.
Then there's something. Maybe it's just about the geometry of it that it feels slightly more set up for road. It could just be the tires as well, I guess. But there was something about it that was that made it feel slightly unsteady, just at the very low speeds.
Yeah, for me, I think everyone says that they want a 650 Himalayan, because that's the first thing that everyone complains about, right? They say there isn't enough power, and see that seamless change. There isn't quite enough power, and they just want to be able to go faster on motorways, overtake trucks, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The volume is low.
Whose volume's low?
What are we drinking? Oh, we are having a celebratory bottle of fizz. So we did the same on our last trip. So on our last live chat, this is to celebrate our 1 year of posting content.
Yeah, we decided we were going to take a break because we were meant to be off overseas by now. So line in the sand was, what was it, June 30th, July 30th maybe. Come on, camera. There we go. Just click at it. Just click at it like you do waiters. If you want waiters to hate you and spit in your food. Garçon means boy. So yeah, we're going to take a bit of a break after this, where we figure out what we're going to do, because just posting the standard stuff is good, but we'd like the channel to grow a bit more, because I mean, I don't think we've ever got any dreams that it's going to, make us money, but that we just don't know what to do now that we're not going overseas.
We always had such a plan.
Gear reviews? Is it?
It was like, we've got 9 months for me to learn to ride the bike, for us to take trips. So to kind of bring you guys on that journey. And then we'll go and do this trip. So we had all it in our head of like, that's what we're doing. And now it's like, it's going to be another year probably before we're allowed to go. So it's like, what are we going to...
Yeah.
Like, how many of us just going to the Wattigans is that interesting?
Yeah,
and like even for
weekend
us,
trips
even for us,
in
like
Sydney,
recording the video, like editing the videos, it's just not quite as fun. So we're
like that Christmas trip was great, where we're like, I'm so excited to get to that bit. And I mean, I still think the other ones are good, but some of the enjoyment of editing has gone out of it. And the other thing I kept saying is we need to have like a few bangers, a few really good ones like that. Like the review was pretty good. The bike for sale was really good. We thought the GoPro image footage being disappointing was going to be really good. We still quite like that one, but other people didn't like it.
No, I think people did like it. It's just it's different to our normal content, so it doesn't get shared. But yeah, so we're going to take a few weeks off just to figure out what we want to do in terms of posting.
Plus, do what everybody's been saying for ages, which is do some courses, which we'd always been putting off while we had the Himalayan, because Liz was getting understandably upset every time we put another scratch or dent on it. We were like, there goes down the price that we can get for it. Why'd I learn to ride a bike I'm going to move off of? I mean, Liz was also trying to persuade me at the same time to go to a smaller bike. So to go back to the your point, the Indian, I feel like it's weird, to the point the Indian made. Do you remember the Indian that was in here? G'day, Indian. She was being like, why don't you go to a Himalayan? And my thing for the Himalayan is it was just too short. It was way too short. And that's probably why I was thinking the front wheel was smaller than it is. It might need to because I could just change the ergs on it a bit, lengthen the front forks a bit, change the rake and trail. I don't know. This has improved a lot more on the new bike. It is because the power and the tyres. Please tell how did she improve so much? Yeah, so what did you do? Because it is a noticeable step up in your... What do you feel has made a bit of the difference?
So for me, and it really was night and day from the last ride that I took with Pooja to the first... Well, maybe not the first ride, because I was just cautious and not doing anything the first ride, but the first trip we did with the DR650, it was very night and day. But I think a lot of that was the fact that by the time I was getting to the end of riding with Pooja, her tyres were
limiting,
really at the end of their life, and the stuff we were doing, like all the tracks were very dusty and
slippery and tacky mud or loose.
So even just moving onto a bike that's got good tyres made a big difference. But it's a much more dirt-oriented bike, the DR650. So, like, when it was getting to sort of the really more difficult stuff, which we're really enjoying doing and doing more of, the Himalayan was starting to feel like it was at the limit of what it is really happy with doing, whereas the DR650 it has that power where you can just sort of set it and just keep revving and it'll like...
what made me like, that's why I was slightly kicking myself. That Christmas trip, I had we cut them out, but I had that last bit of that hill that beat us. I had some proper goes at it, and I was throwing myself at it. And admittedly, we still left the panniers on, which in hindsight, I was like, maybe I'll take them off. But it was all the way to the limit of its ability. The clutch was slipping like crazy. And I was like, the clutch is busted.
Overheating,
The clutch is busted. The bike's broken. And then after taking it back to the dealership and talking to a few people online, they're like, no. It just seemed like you were now getting to beyond the capability of the Himalayan. Yeah. Himalayan's a beautiful, beautiful bike, but if you want to be tackling gnarly trails, carrying a lot of gear, it wasn't just the tires. I think it was the grunt. Whereas the extra grunt, because Liz has also got the 44 tooth back sprocket, so she's got on the DR now extra lower gearing on the DR, and these, I'm not sure what the actual brand of the tires are. I should check, but the tire's almost like a paddle boat. It's got these big, could be Metzler Karoos possibly, but they're like these arrow-shaped, almost paddle wheels with a big gaps between them. She hasn't complained about the noise. I imagine they're quite noisy when we're at speed on the motorway, but they just, you just watch her go up these hills, and then the hills never show on the GoPro, hence the video we made. But that seems to be a bit of it, because that first one where we did that bit of single track and you did that wheelie up that rock and you put it on Instagram saying loving the new power of Tatanka, was like, I think was that ride where you were like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah, and it feels like it's more like maneuverable than the Himalayan was, you know. It really did feel like when you're with the Himalayan, it even though they're pretty similar weights actually, there's not that much in it. It feels like the DR, it maneuvers a lot better with that weight. So if you get yourself into a sticky situation, it feels a lot easier to sort of pull yourself around a lot, whereas I thought that was really struggling.
The Indian's not agreeing with this. He's going, it's not a good bike. I think it is, but it's a bike for a particular thing, which is what we made the review on. It's a bike that's perfect for somebody. If you want a dual sport, you need to commute, you want it to look good, you want to tackle a little bit of light off-road. But I agree with you. I don't think it's a fantastic bike. I think there are other bikes that could do it better, but I just wish... I've been always so disappointed, because I had an old Enfield. When I lived in India, I had an old Bullet 350cc. Love that thing. I love that old classic styling, and I get so disappointed that every time... I mean, I'm sure some of it is function, but a lot of it is just form for plastic bikes with all these plastic fairings, where I'm like, can you not just give me a metal tank and a quite classic styling, but all of the performance I would want from an enduro bike, which, the Enfield is not. I'm not a chatty person. Thanks, Mark. You guys are great. I'm not a chatty person. I just wanted you to know that.
Cheers, Mark.
Dodgers told us there's some great rides in Tasmania. We were looking at Tasmania.
Talking about Tasmania.
Yeah, somebody else said that.
Daniel White says, do a trip over to Tasmania. They open after December. Well, they say they open. Nobody
knows what's going to be happening from week to week with this thing.
We have been waiting for, I have been checking every day, you know, for the last 3 months, every day, what's going on with the Queensland border, what is going on with the Queensland border. Really wanted to get to Cape York this year. And there was a period of about 2 weeks where the border was open. But of course, we couldn't just go. We had it already planned and wanted to go in September. And no, the border's just never going to open. Yeah. So we had to cancel on the idea of Cape York. We've got a whole thing about what we're doing for the trip, but so it's just constantly waiting to sort of go, okay, well, what borders are open? Because at the minute, no borders are open. It is New South Wales. That is the only place that people can travel right now. We wanted to go to Tasmania last Christmas, but the cost shoots up because you have to get a ferry there. So the cost, I think, was about $1,500 or something crazy.
Per person per crossing. So that would have been 6,000 all up or something like that.
Yeah, it was either three. It might be 3,000, but essentially just for doing the crossing, which it was that's too much.
Yeah.
So we did want to go last year.
So I wanted to respond to Grokbot because I thought actually we have been asked this a few times and I haven't said anything. So motovlogging gear. You just asked about storage, but I thought I'd give a rundown of some other things. So for anybody who's looking to mount...
So it says, as someone who wants to get into motovlogging, can you all give me an idea what kind of data storage you carry on trips, SD drives or an external, etc.? Best to you both. Love what you all do. Thank you.
Thanks. So a few people have asked this. I thoroughly recommend if you're going to be motovlogging. I think Dodger does this as well, actually. Chin mount your GoPro. You want to get your GoPro as close to you wanted that lens as close to where your eyes are as possible. So when it's out here, it catches a bit of the corner of the helmet in the shot quite often, and you can see that people, when they're looking at you or talking to you, they're sort of looking a little bit off kilter, and that, I think, reduces it a lot. It turns you into a character where I think people watching it want to be you a little bit, sort of be in your shoes. So the only other better place I've found mounting it, which doesn't work on these adventure helmets but does work on motocross helmets that have a much flatter peak, is actually mounted under the peak, and it obscures some of your view. It's kind of annoying. You find yourself doing that sometimes, but that is absolutely the best shot. The next best is chin mounted. What I use there is Sugru. So Sugru is this sort of putty stuff. It feels like Play-Doh, and then it dries really hard.
Someone just did I think it might have been Adrian Nickelodeon, just did a video explaining how he Sugru'd his helmet. Yeah. I haven't watched it, but I saw it on our subscriptions.
And then we've got the mic adapter, that GoPro now needs a mic adapter for a not insignificant sum of money, which I think you only actually need that if you're doing road riding or riding at speed to cut out the wind noise. I actually pull the mic out when I'm, just pull out this USB-C at the side when we're off-road, because otherwise you just get this, this sort of panting, and you miss out on some external sounds.
You get that with me either way. I don't know why my breathing is always so heavy in all the videos. I like go and do the editing and I'm like, what's going on?
Then this is the trick for storage. So I'm trying to look for my other thing. Have you seen my little zip bag? What I have is a zip bag. It's around here somewhere. I'm just going to take a look for it for a second, and then I'll get back to you. No, I'll just come back to you. We've got this little sort of zip bag. It's about that big, that has little sleeves in it that holds SD cards, but they can maneuver their way free. So what I do is I've got a system where we've got about 6, I think 4 or 5, maybe 6 micro SD cards, obviously the cards that the GoPro takes, and we have them, they go into the pockets in the zip bag if they've got something on them that I need to then dump. And once they have been dumped, they go back in this sort of card where they can snap out. So I've got this system where I know which is which. Then the trick I use is this, which is a WD My Passport Wireless Pro. You need to write all of those because they've got a WD My Passport, they've got a WD Passport Pro, and they've got a WD Passport Wireless. But you've got to have all 4 of those words in there if you're ever looking for the thing, because it's quite a complex bit of hardware. What it basically is external hard drive with a slot that reads SD cards. So you carry an SD card to micro SD adapter. And then the cool thing is you can dump footage off the cards straight onto this external hard drive, which is 4 terabytes, without needing a computer there. So when we were on our long trips, we would just take it out to lunch, turn it on, plug in a card, and you watch these 4 lights just light up in turn. It takes about, what would you say, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, maybe 40 minutes.
Depends on how full the card is, obviously. But yeah, an hour at most,
and you're done. You can take the card out, and then you put it in a pocket to wipe it. There's one of my gripes about this is, I mean, it's a complex bit of software, so it does sort of crash and fail every now and then. So you do, if you've ever unsure, I find myself double and triple putting in the card and it goes through. It won't re-download any old files, so if it'll check if it's got the files and it'll only update new ones, but I'll sometimes find myself putting it in again and it goes dum dum dum, goes through the buttons really quickly.
We've never, I don't think, lost footage from
Not
it.
from
but,
that.
But Harry is quite anal about checking
really
it.
fastidious.
And the good
Prefer
thing about
fastidious
that
to anal, don't you?
Means that...
Oh, that came out wrong.
The good thing about it means that we don't have to haul around a laptop when we do those trips. Obviously, if we were doing a proper long trip where we have to edit while we travel, then we would take a laptop anyway. But if we're just doing 2 weeks, and usually we're so behind on our filming, so it just means we can take that, and it means we can dump our footage as we go. So it's really good for that.
Less to damage if you crash. My one objection, WD, if you're listening, is it doesn't give you the option to clear the card after it's dumped. So what I'd always hoped is you pull out a card and the card is blank, because what you then regularly find yourself doing is putting it back in the GoPro, not clearing it if you don't think of it. And then if you were sort of, 70% through that card, because, the 128 gigabyte card's pretty big, you won't even catch a full day. You'll still have space left over after riding for a whole day. You then start recording after that point, and then you've got this awkward thing of you've got to protect some files and delete the other files, and it's just annoying. I just wish there was a checkbox option you could do in the menus that you use with your app that says the moment you've got all of the stuff, get rid of it.
Someone just, Krusty Rider, this is, you finished with your thing?
Get that, yeah.
Yeah. Krusty Rider has just said, DR650 has, I think, wet weight of 166 kilogram.
Yep, I think so.
And then Himalayan is 210. Is that true? 210?
Yeah, I could easily believe that.
There's no way it feels that heavy.
Well, it carries its weight quite well. It carries its weight quite low.
That's crazy. Okay. Grokbot, who was the guy who asked, awesome, that's exactly what I was wondering, whether I needed to carry a laptop with me. Thanks so much for the thorough response.
Most welcome. Stefan Swirtz has also said, have you heard of the Android app MX Rob, my DR650? I've heard of that so many times, actually. And I do need to check it because I keep going to Rising Sun, which is also a cool thing. There's also other ones in Melbourne that are not called Rising Sun, which is this like communal garage where you go, you use their tools, you get their know-how, you fix your bike, you can do all this stuff. And they keep being like, so what's the needle height meant to be set at? Or what's the recommended, tire pressures or anything? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I have to spend 45 minutes Googling through people having arguments on forums about it. Everybody has regularly said to me, get that MX Rob thing.
Should we look at does anyone want to, oh, no. Okay.
All the crashes,
okay, we're
I
doing
think.
all the crashes. I was going to say, does anyone specifically want to hear any of them? But we're doing all the crashes.
Want to hear any of what?
Like, want to pick one.
Oh, you can pick. No, we're doing all the crashes.
We're doing all the crashes.
KTM 390 Adventure. I would like to check that bike, actually. That's one of the things I was thinking about, going and checking out bikes and saying to dealerships, we're probably not buying it, but we'll put it on our channel because I also really want a Suron. There's electric that looks like a mountain bike, but it's an electric motorcycle. Oh, really want one. Liz is going to let me get one. She's very excited for me getting one.
Wait. No.
Okay, let's watch the crash.
Oh yeah, this is our we were going back and looking at all our old videos of all our crashes.
So here we are. Desktop audio. Oh, hang on, I need to pause that. Just give me a second while I figure this out. Properties, get me that. Get me that.
I think he's saying that the sound's not going to be coming through. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling to get. Got no sound is the issue.
That might not be such a bad thing. Oh,
yeah,
this was on my very first day off road. This is my level of ability. Tiny little hill, first day riding, first day doing off roading. Harry's just shown me the basics. Down this hill, yeah, I can do it. Oh, it's pretty tricky though. Oh, there's a tiny rock. Yeah.
I was at this stage. I was being really supportive and stuff, but I was a little bit like, maybe not. Maybe we won't be bikers together. And then when you started doing this stuff, I was like, no, she's going to get good at this.
Yeah.
This one was my favorite one to watch. Oh, yoink! Oh, looks so much better from behind. Boom! Watch how much she pogos out of the seat.
That was before we stiffened the suspension on the. That was why we stiffened the suspension, I think. That was a good ride that day. We're about to get you falling over. This was the day that was your first.
I've
falls.
never crashed.
This is your first crashes.
Yeah. So this one, we're talking about this path on the side, and I'm like, oh, that looks tricky. And Liz is like, oh, it might be a bit beyond us because we're going fully laden. I'm backpack everything.
The first day you had your panniers, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And then this is just, I try to put my foot on the left side, and then the pannier pushes at the back of my calf, and straight away over I go. And then I'm like, watch this. Crashed it twice in the space of about 10 meters. Oh, this one hurt. This one really hurt. I was just going along, got distracted, got stuck in a rut and went down. And that one, I'm good at hurting myself, but that one left a little scar on my arm.
We have a whole section of just Harry falling over now. See, it's I never fall over. It's all Harry.
See, that shows the mountain a bit. Up, down I go.
This was going up Mount Walker,
I
wouldn't even take my bike up that one.
Yeah.
Oh, this is you again. This is the Christmas trip.
This my hand is never going to be right. I don't think after this. This is not my favorite. Oh, you can see me immediately. I'm like, first thing I'm like, that hand is not good.
And that hill, because you couldn't see the ground when you were going over that hill.
Yeah.
So it was a super steep hill. It
Yeah.
is a steep hill. I couldn't even get the buggy up it. Although I was on grass mode on the Polaris. It's like, it's on grass mode. Why would it go up the
mode,
hill?
yeah, which only turns one wheel at a time because it thinks you're on a golf course. Oh, that one hurt you a bit, didn't it? You went over the bars
all
then.
All of these are that day when we were going up the hill. And I must have fallen like 7 times, I think.
It would have been more than 7. Because I remember I originally, on my first edit, the edit included every crash that Liz did. And Liz is like, we were getting at that stage, I think Liz was getting a bit sensitive about people being like, she shouldn't be riding, you don't know what you're doing. You know, we're getting all these comments of possibly well-meaning people. I think the challenge is just people are well-meaning, but I don't know. But yeah, and it was just this long montage of Liz crashing again and again and again and again and again. And Liz is like, no.
It was a big steep hill and it was very hot. And by the end of the day, Pooja was not having it. Her clutch was going. She was too hot. She was too hot. I was too hot. We were too hot. We must have gone through 4 cans of Coke that day. It was so hot.
It was sort of 30-something degrees. It wasn't quite 40 degrees this day.
I think it had been 40 the day before, and this was cooler because it was about 38.
It was teetering just below 40 degrees, which is sort of old people dropping in the...
Beats resistance. Thanks, Johnny Wombat. That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, the classic. This is the best one.
Oof, this one. Watch this one from behind. Wiggle. She almost gets it, and then nah. Oh, she went down. Oh, she went down, and I was like, oh my God, that's a collarbone. Her collarbone's gone. That's the whole day. That's maybe us done riding. And she gets up and dusts herself off and then goes for a swim. And then this is me. Oh, this one hurt me as well. I have pathetic crashes, and then because I fall like an old man, I end up quite hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all of our crashes.
Yeah, so that's our crashes.
Oh, they're good fun. We've had plenty more on the new bikes, but they're getting less dramatic. They're getting less like, you know, they're just kind of like, slid, pick it up. That's okay.
Yeah, because it's not just we're learning how to not crash. I think we're also learning how to fall.
Yeah.
When we crash, so it's sort of your fetal position. Yeah, I was so tired by the end of that day because we'd gone up to the hut. And then we'd been doing log hops and log hops and log hops. And I always make this mistake. And that is I forget to save enough in the tank to get home. And then I just get distracted. I'm like, ugh. And then I saw that last little bit where I've looked at that a chunk of times on the CRF and was like, can I just throw the DR up it? And it always looks so much flatter and more reasonable on thing. But it was very, it's this weird, not quite sand, not quite gravel. It's this sort of old dried mud that breaks away in cubes almost. And just, Harry, let's face it, we are old men. Tock, you speak for yourself. I do feel like I'm rapidly getting older. Especially the other day, I was wearing these shoes and we went for a look around a building site and I just took a step and just went, my foot started to slip and I was like, I guess that's it. And then just battered my shin to pieces.
Yeah. We were planning to go for a ride as well and then you just went and lay in bed. It
was all up my shin. It's a lot better now, but here's my leg. It looks fine. It looks totally fine on the camera. And yeah, so because it was like exactly where you'd be wearing a boot, so we didn't go for a ride. So aside from seeing my sexy legs, what do y'all want to see next?
Oh wait, let's just
I know that pain, VMAX rider. Yeah, I feel you, ma'am. I feel you.
I just want to go back very quickly because we had a couple of questions on our. Can you show it up here on our community? Like we posted something a few days ago and we had a couple of questions from there. And one of them was about what tools you carry.
Ah, yes, what
tools? And I say you carry because...
Of course, Liz does a lot of the helping with the...
Yeah, I have no idea.
Sure, I'll get my toolkit out.
That's one of the things that I will improve on, and I slowly, bit by bit, learn. But Harry's definitely the tool carrier and the fixie bike person. Like he did 3 months working in a garage in Nepal years ago, so he knows a bit about mechanics and stuff.
So
Where is it? So it's on our channel.
ah,
Harry's looking at all our tools.
here we go.
He has the tool roll.
I've got the Also, if whoever was the person, I'm forgetting their name. It was difficult to say. If we can just go back in the chat, the person who was asking about the storage. This is the bag I was looking for that keeps the stuff. So I keep cards with something on them that need to be dumped there, and then I have this thing which the micro SDs will slot into. That's where blank ones that I can record to are going. As for the tools, I have an old Ferragamo bag for when I once took a business class. Oh, we've got more transparent things. This is a invisibility cloak bag, so nobody steals my tools. This bag is like a toiletries bag. What tools do I have in it? So I've got a multi Allen key set. So all of the Allen keys, hex keys, whatever you might call them, go in there and fold out from there, which I quite like because I never have. If you have them on anything else, I find that you either need a bunch of little loose ones, or they hang on a key ring, and then they always end up pulling off the key ring or stabbing you on the fingers, so they don't fold away neatly. And that's also got a of sorts kind of spanner of a few different sizes, 15, 10, and 14. Shifters, so a couple of different shifting spanners. Then I put some money into getting a selection of spanners for the DR's nut sizes. So then DR typically will have only even sized, not always, but typically only even sized nuts. So they will have 8s, 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s. Except I think the back axle is 21. So I got these, which are quite expensive, which are a set of spanners which will open on one end and ratchet on the other. I quite like ratchet spanners. They're not cheap, but I like them. And then tire irons. And then what's usually balled up in that is this thing that I got when I had a KTM 690 that got nicked, that has a lot of these other bits that you need. So screwdrivers and sockets. A tire pressure checky, what's it? Tire pressure checky, what's it?
I'll hold it for you.
And screwdriver chuck bits, whatever, not chuck bits, like bits that a screwdriver will go onto the sockety. You're with me. You get where I'm going. You don't need me to know the words to get to, because Liz mentioned I learnt to fix motorbikes in Nepal, and so I got okay at like fixing tappets and getting the valves right and the this and the that. Never knew any of the words for any of the stuff, because Raju, lovely guy who taught me, he'd just be like, this bit rounding is not rounding, not good. Like we would have to I was learning Hindi while I was learning to fix bikes. So I never know any of the correct words for things. Or should say, I'm still learning the correct words for things. And then there's that, which we don't typically bring with us. So that's mostly the tools. And then, of course, it's about spares. When we're going at the moment, the only spares we really bring are tubes. For the big trip, the plan for spares was go on online, find a forum or something, but it would probably be clutch lever, brake lever, except I believe those might be interchangeable. I think you can wear one upside down on the other side, but I'm not sure. A few cables and things that are likely to break.
Spark plugs.
Spark plugs, that kind of malarkey.
Spark plug. Wait, where is it? Spark plug spanner.
Yeah. Spark plug spanner would have been good. It's very funny. Everybody was like, why didn't you take out the spark plug and crank it over? I cut out a whole part of the conversation. So
we were about an hour trying to do the fix in the first place.
So we were there trying to fix it, and they were really struggling getting this. Sorry, I'm off camera. They were really struggling getting the spark plug out because they couldn't figure out how to get the HT lead off. And I was like, do you not just yank it? And they were like, we're not sure. And they were working on that for a while. And I said, hey, should I send my drone up? So I sent my drone up, and we cut this bit out for time because the episodes, we all feel they get too long. And on the drone, we were like, there is a farmhouse less than a kilometre away, and this is taking forever. So should we just drag the bike to the farmhouse where we expect there's going to be a service road? Problem is, the farmhouse was there, but it was through like a wall of really dense trees, like a sort of jungle between us and only 50 metres away.
No, we looked at the drone, and the drone showed like farmhouses everywhere, but you couldn't see couldn't see a way to get to them from where we were. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, so it just became one of those things where we were like, we were talking about taking out the spark plug, cranking it over and blowing it clean. I was looking forward to it actually because that's one of the fixes I've never done on a bike, but I've watched all the videos on how to do it. And then they were eventually like, all right, let's just drag it to the farmhouse. Then we got to where the farmhouse was meant to be, and then it just became this thing of like, do we stop now? Do we start again? Or do we just go? Because it only ever looked a little bit further. It constantly tantalisingly looked like we were just around the corner from, the main road. But yeah, in hindsight, I wish we had pulled that cord and had a proper go at that. So yeah, spark plug spanner, good suggestion. Thank you. For the 5K tow, yes.
A great cooking idea for long trips. Check out exhaust cookers. Most of them are made for snowmobile, but I use one on my bike. They are awesome. But our bike's always cold by the time...
No, so you get your fish and your veggies and whatever, and it's this sort of metal can, and it snaps onto your exhaust. So you do it at like lunchtime. You put all this stuff in a cooker, snap it onto your exhaust, and you ride, and you get it out, and it's cooked.
I did see one of those very recently for someone making bacon or something like that. I did see one of those.
Hi, Carl.
Because I think I've seen, like, wasn't there, someone was it, Thingy Blondie, Supercar Blondie. She was getting her husband maybe, or whoever it is who's in her videos, to make her breakfast, and it was on Bentley or something, but they've like done this like tinfoil thing with eggs and then put it under the car bonnet to cook.
The thing here's an interesting tip for you that we should have shared with the camping gear, and I don't want to sound like a tree hugging, what was those old channel? Anyway, I'm not going to say it because I'd offend people. Veggie. That was a most disconnected series of thoughts. Veggie. Cook pure veg when you're cooking, when you're camping. My goodness, it makes life so much easier. Like, I'm not a vegetarian, grew up on a cattle farm, love killing animals and eating them. Delicious little things. If they didn't want to be eaten, they should either run faster or taste less good. So I don't have a problem with killing animals for food. But when you're camping, it's so good to just eat pure vegetarian food because you don't have this thing about, like, what have I gotten the meat juice on? Have I done this? Has the meat gone off? Has it bit dribbled out of the bag after a crash and gotten on the veggies now? And now do I have to cook all the veggies? Otherwise I'm going to die of salmonella. It's just like, bang, just eat pure veg, chuck in a bit of pasta and something. And you're not going to be camping for so many nights that you're not going to go to a pub.
Wouldn't eat fresh meat, but like you could eat meat that's like tinned or something. I don't think there's a problem with that.
Yeah, like put it on a sandwich or something. Yeah, absolutely. I don't mean like refuse to eat meat, but I just mean don't cook with meat. Cleaning up's easier. It's so good.
You do get very jealous though if you're at a campsite and the person next to you's got this massive barbecue.
Oh, that's what happened.
You're there with your little pasta.
Yeah, that time we came crawling back. I dragged the tree back when we went camping, and these other guys I dragged a branch of a tree back. These guys dragged half a forest behind their four-wheel drives. They had these giant four-wheel drives. One guy had a full smoker inside it, like a full stand-up cooker. They'd put half a pig inside it and we're just leaving it there and getting drunk and then eating. And you do get jealous, but so what do you want? Do you want to drive in a four-wheel drive, or do you want to be lightweight and nimble so you can can pick it up again?
I take pre-cooked meat like smoked chicken, salmon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's
so
a good
if you
idea.
can buy stuff that's already cooked, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
True about vegetarian cooking, but it's not just leaving the meat out.
So, who do we watch? Who are your favourite YouTubers?
We watch a lot of YouTubers. This is like moto vloggers, right? Moto vloggers.
We watch everybody. I mean, do shout-outs to never-ending shout-outs for anything non-moto vlog. But who are our favourite moto vloggers? Or what do we like? No, all of them I'd say are equally favourite. What do we like about the people we've chosen to put up on the screen?
I think there's a few more than we've put on the screen.
So, shout-outs to who?
Yeah, one of my favourites is Pedro Mota, who I've been watching for quite a long time.
Which is this chap up here. Can you tell what she likes about Pedro Mota?
No.
Can you... Any inkling of anything?
No. I think he's having...
It's the Transalp, isn't it? It's not the tight shirts.
I think he has good adventures.
He does. He really has good adventures. Like his adventures beyond, slightly like Mary Valley, where he gets into places where you're like, holy shit, Pedro, how are you going to get out of here? You know, like you're there stuck in the middle, you know, and he sets his story up really well. Where my favorite one was that road where he's like, this is the only road to get to where I need to go. And he gets to a place and it's just totally washed out. And he's like, how am I getting out of here? There's two situations like that I've watched of his, actually.
That was when he was in, what's the place next to Peru? South of Peru. Poorer than Peru.
You're adding information like it's going to help. Poorer than Peru. Welcome to Ecuador. Poorer than Peru.
I don't know what it's called, but that's where it is. And
but
it has loads of these things because all the roads are really crappy.
Built this kind of little stone bridge between where the road was and through where the road wasn't, and then rode what he's called his bike through it, and it was like really not quite nail biting, but just really engaging content that you like. You know, he made it out because he managed to edit the video, but it was still like it's really cool that he went and did that stuff.
Yeah, and the thing
Bolivia.
Bolivia.
There you go. Bolivia, poorer than Peru.
It is though. It looks like a rider's.
Not in an emotional sense.
Yeah.
But in
a cultural sense, just in a economical sense. Yes, you can have more. So the other thing that I love about him, because he's doing this thing like traveling, right? And I love the travel vloggers, right? I love not just the motorcycling stuff. I like seeing the adventure of where people are going to. Oh no, we're almost out of drink. So I love that he's going and doing that, and also being and doing these like crazy roads in the middle of nowhere. Like I think I don't know any other travel vlogger, because like I don't want to get any Itchy Boots hate. Because I love Itchy Boots. She's awesome. Like, I love her. But he's, like, another level, you know? He's, like, almost doing enduro stuff sometimes. The kind of roads
fully
that he's
laden
tackling.
bike. Yeah.
And I don't know of anyone else who's doing the traveling around the world that I
follow.
Solo,
unassisted, with, like, legitimately high stakes. There's one other guy that I was watching, but he seemed to stop uploading after he wrecked in a, remember that guy riding a CRF across Africa? And
he did the trip.
Yeah, right.
So
but he stopped uploading.
Two-wheel review. He did an awesome series of him riding. And he's only he was like 20 or something when he did it. And he did a series riding all the way to South Africa.
But he's not quite as good looking. He doesn't wear his shirts as tight. So he's not quite as successful as Pedro. Pedro is a ridiculously good looking guy.
You're obsessed with this.
I am, yeah. Every time I see him in the shots, I'm like, damn you. You're better at riding bikes and better looking.
Yeah, Two-Wheel Review was a really good series, but he stopped for ages. He had a lot of personal issues, I think, actually. He only just recently, because we subscribed to him, had a video come up going, I'll be doing more videos and stuff, right. So that's awesome.
I also feel we should move it so we can talk about NERB. So somebody also mentioned this earlier in the chat, why don't you do some collaborations with big channels? We didn't mention it fully, but we planned on that New Year's Eve, on that Christmas trip, to go meet NERB. And we made it, like, we actually edited the video to be like this whole thing about, a part of our plan was like, you know, we were even saying it to one another on the way, like, you can't do that when we're riding with NERB. Because NERB is really talented, really funny, gentle, kind, very good at riding his bike, really knowledgeable about all this stuff. And so we were like, so we'd pinged him a message being like, love your channel, mate. If there's any chance we could lure you up to the high country, we'd love to go for a ride together. And he was a legend. He just turned around and goes, yeah, let's do it. And we were like, awesome. So we were heading through Threadbro down to Dargo, where we were like, we're going to meet him on New Year's Day, I think was the idea, and then do 2 days of riding with him in the high country.
2020 was going to be so good.
Oh, it was going to be such a good year. And then people made plans. Yeah. God laughed. Vegan here agreeing that makes life much healthier. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it's funny. Despite being a meat eater and a family who produces meat for a living, I think the ethical arguments for veganism are very strong. Anyway, went to go meet NERB, and then the bushfire just goes, the Corryong fire that nearly got us, just sort of drew a line in the map with like, there's NERB, here's us, there's the fire, and it was this wall of fire that if you're like could I go around it? You'd only be riding towards a different fire. It was crazy. Apocalyptic biblical shit.
And it was the same because we had talked actually about meeting up with Dodger as well, who's another vlogger that we follow. Is in the chat actually. And it was the same situation. It was that same trip. And then, no, we're not getting down there. So we had only touched Victoria and then had to go back.
Actually, Dodger, if you're still here, ping us your you can chat here, but also put a link for your channel, because Dodger also does good reviews of he's riding, which I had for a while, the SWM. He's got a Super Duel.
He is, but he's also just got a new, or his wife got a new bike, and I think his wife got a new bike.
Yeah, honey, don't you want a Suron? Don't you want a Suron? Don't you want an electric bike?
So yeah, he's got a few bikes.
But
I think everyone in Victoria has now got this problem where none of them are allowed. They're all in this like crazy lockdown, so nobody is allowed out. I think Dodger is like, he's able to ride to work.
Yeah.
And he works like as a postie, so at least he like gets to like ride
for a living.
Like yeah.
But those guys,
it's like not quite what I had in mind.
Those guys are under such strict rules too. I do some work with Australia Post, and those posties are like for what they can and are not allowed to do with those bikes. It's like, it'd be so much more fun.
Ian, you should take a look at Kinga from Queensland. Kinga's not from Queensland.
She's like
Polish.
Sweet Polish. That's it.
She
on her
lived
bike.
in Australia. She lived in Australia, and that's where she set off from. Because so this is On Her Bike, which is another awesome channel. She's just her latest
really
episode's Tanzania.
Does she make it all herself? Because if she does, the production quality of what she makes is amazing. I mean, I don't want to trash people, but yeah, production quality of what she makes is great.
Yeah, so she's been traveling for a couple of years on her Chile, which is her GS 800. I think she's pretty well known. I think most people who watch us would know who On Her Bike is. The same as like Itchy Boots, right? You've got to know who they are. I think they're probably the two most famous travel vloggers.
Put your channel link in the chat so people can click on it.
But yeah, On Her Bike. So she was in Australia. So she was living here, but then she was in a crash.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so she got in a bad crash, and she got insurance money.
Right.
Because she's got like metal stuff in. I can't remember what her injuries were, but they're pretty bad. So she's had like big surgery, and she got a compensation payout, and it was because of that made her go, okay, now I'll go and do this big travel around the world.
Ah, okay, that's an interesting idea. So, all right.
But yeah, she's currently now doing. She's now had to leave Chile and South Africa, I think. So she's traveling on an Indian.
Yeah, I just didn't.
But she's always so behind. She's worse than us. She's so behind in her videos. I remember.
What?
She's 10 months behind at one point because she was doing a New Year's video and it was October when we were watching it. So it's like, wow, you are slow on this.
But that's understandable because I don't know if she edits them herself, but the production quality is so high. Like
she said
almost every shot looks.
And then someone edits the videos. What a great life for her. How good is that?
That's Shadow of 75. Yes, I do. Let me just actually Google it so I can check. I know I've seen that.
Yeah, we do. He does great videos. I was just watching his one where he was riding through Nunes.
Hang on. This is what I can do to get Dodger's one up in here. I was just about to do it for Shadow, and then I was like, I can do it for Dodger. So this is Dodger's channel. I'm going to throw up in the... screen. Great thumbnails, by the way, Dodger.
Yeah.
And then Shadow of 75.
I love that when you're on YouTube, you constantly look at other people's channels and go, that's something that, you constantly get inspiration from other people. Like, there's a guy...
yes, I do know Shadow. He's the guy with the very Aussie accent. Here we are, guys, going to the... Yeah, I love doing his accent, but I'm going to probably piss him off if I do it too much. I want to play it a second. Hang on. Got no audio.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
Anyway, no, that was making me think there's another guy, another one of our subscribers that I really like, and this is good if because I know quite a lot of our subscribers joined when I was on the Himalayan, because there was a Himalayan, you know, they'd like looked for Himalayan and then saw our channel, and then that's what first brought them round. But yeah, there's one of the guys, and I always get confused with his name because it's so similar to Two Wheel Review, and it's not Two Wheel Review, and it's, what's Alan's channel name? Scottish guy, you know who I'm talking about. He's got a Himalayan. He's Scottish.
Two Wheel Freak.
Two Wheel Freak, thank you. And he's been doing some videos, because he does not post very regularly. He is so slow. He like posts like one a month. But he does videos on the Himalayan, and Bazza, don't, I'm with you.
Yeah,
don't worry about that. Right, that's coming up. He does videos which are worth watching, if only because I just love a Scottish accent. So I really like his videos. But some of the stuff he does, you're like, God, your stuff is so much more slick than what we're doing. Like his voiceovers are on point, and he does all these like the intro things to show different people who are in it. I'm like, how have you done all this? He's obviously using Premiere Pro or something. I think he did say he was using proper After Effects, but yeah, I love his channel. And
carry on.
Yeah, so as Bazza mentioned, Artist Wayne, he has been in our videos from the Himalayan. He is brilliant. I love his channel. His videos do not get anywhere near as many views as I think they deserve. They're just really good fun. Like, they're only about 7 or 8 minutes long.
Because so much of what you do as a YouTuber is try to second guess the algorithm. And some of what I guess about the algorithm is with Artist Wayne is if you go back to his old stuff, it was 100% him doing art, and then it switched to motorcycle stuff. And I wonder if the algorithm has some method of going, well, you had this supporter base that were there for the art, and then we're getting to them, don't you worry, Paul.
They're in the picture, Paul. They're in the picture.
That then these people who are there for art start seeing you ride a motorbike, and the viewers just drop and they tank and they stop. Even your existing rung the bell subscribers don't watch your content anymore. So I wonder if it punishes you in some way. Because I watch a lot of Wayne's stuff he posts regularly, which is a key thing for being good on YouTube. It's fun, it's funny, it's interesting, it's better than a lot of other content that does better than him. But I was like, I wonder if it's the algorithm kicking him in the guts because it was too sharp a pivot or something. I'm not sure.
The thing is, I don't think he really cares about like being because the thing is, right? The Artist Wayne, everyone knows him in the area. Like, you know, he's really well known. He's really that's. Wait, I'll speak to that in a sec. But let me just finish this. Everyone like in the area knows who Wayne Dowson is. He's so well known in the motorbiking community, and everyone wants to go for a ride with him. You know, he's awesome fun.
Yeah, very talented too, and he's gone from zero to hero really quickly.
Yeah, because he rides all the time. He's constantly out in the Watkins.
But you watch his old stuff from like 2 years ago, and he's like, he's sort of he's a Gumby, and then now he's like throwing his WR up impossible steep climbs.
But yeah, I don't think he really cares about getting all the views and stuff on the channel because he like puts I think he doesn't put in like adverts or anything like that.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really care about that. But I think he just quite likes doing what he likes and getting people involved. And I think he does enjoy though when people are like know who he is, because he always mentions that. He's like, oh, it's another Artist Wayne fangirl.
Yeah.
But no, he's very funny. I'd really recommend his channel.
Yeah, that's really kind of you to say that. Johnny Wombat said the intro to your TV show, to my TV show. So Johnny Wombat does a sort of, you host a TV show of like not user generated content, but like people send you clips and it's a sort of community TV show. And you said the intro to it is based off our music score, which is lovely to hear.
I think our intro is very divisive. People either love our music intro or really
when
like
we
it.
First put it up, getting into stupid comments, when we first put it up, somebody's like, you destroyed some eggs just to make an intro. And we're like, they're eggs, man. It's an egg. Jesus.
Mr. B says, riding with Tom. I mean, the reason that we first knew about Nerve is because we watched Riding with Tom doing The Simpson, the first time he did The Simpson. Riding with Tom's like a legendary status I would say in terms of motovlogging. He's been going forever, and
produces really funny videos, really watchable. We used to just put them on while we cooked.
He's
and
not
stuff.
making much anymore. I think he's taking a bit of a break. He said he was moving house and doing all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I love Rad Raven. I've never heard of Rad Raven. Also, someone's just posted the Missenden Flyer.
Yeah, I love.
We follow Missenden Flyer on Instagram. He does a mix of things, doesn't he? He's flying around where my family all live, which is Bournemouth sort of area. But I don't think I actually I haven't watched many of his videos. But obviously he's very well known and people watch a lot. It's like the same thing. People always go on about $1 Million Bogan, and I'm like, I don't know. Oh, we watched a couple of those now, and
this is why we need to lead on to MVDBR, who are Nat and Josh, who are over Nat and Josh, because I really like following people, which is also partly why I like Nerb, and also Pedro. Is I really like people doing extraordinary things on bikes. So like riding a bike to do something cool or look at a waterfall, I'm like, it's quite cool, and if it's well made, it's what I like. It's nice, but
like that.
Yeah. But and this is also a bit of a divergence in tastes, which, I mean, we're not going to bring up gender stuff, but she's a girl. Where MVDBR, they just write Merry Valley Dirt Bike Riders, they call themselves. They became huge. I first came to know them where a lot of people, I think, first came to their channel. They made this series called Mad Mick. And Mad Mick is this guy who rides with them, riding pretty much the same Africa Twin that was in our last video that Martin was riding. So a standard adventure bike Africa Twin, whatever, 170 probably odd kilos that this bike is. And he is absolutely hurling it up enduro rides that these guys do.
More than 170 kilos.
That these guys do, Nat and Josh do on really light, nimble adventure bikes. And so I first started watching their channel with that. And I like watching it, but it was sort of, I was a little bit like, well, of course you can do that if you're on a 250. I could do that if I was on, I couldn't do that if I was on a 250. But I like telling myself I could do that if I was on a 250. So then they got themselves adventure bikes. And that's when we properly invested ourselves in the channel, I think, even more. Because it's a channel, I think, in some ways a lot similar to ours, where they go on adventures together. She's got herself, you would like this, the Indian. She's got herself a KTM 390 adventure, and he's got himself the T7, the Tenere 700. And he's now getting into like throwing it up really impossible things, or they go on like proper adventure rides where it's like they've got a destination in mind, but they're just exploring weird dirt paths and squiggly lines that they found on maps that may or may not really be something really cool to watch. Good to watch.
It's good to see sort of how they can tackle that on the bikes that are their small bikes that they go, and then, seeing the difference when you're riding on a bigger bike.
Yeah, I do feel a bit better about what we can do. Where
we're still not nowhere near as good.
We're nowhere close to those guys, but a little bit like watching them suddenly not going up something like this anymore. Or that one, oh my goodness, one of the ones that stuck out for me was when Josh goes out on the T7 by himself and does try one of the hills that they do, and he's just hammering it up a hill on the Tenere 700, and just clips a tree and it bends his foot all the way back, and you can tell he's in a fair bit of pain. And he's like, we have a few moments like that, and those are the moments I love, and that's what I was saying about Pedro before, where you're suddenly like, crap, how am I getting home? How do I get back from here? That's when I'm like, whoa, those are the good adventures. Yeah.
I think we've, like, there is a lot more that we watch. A lot more that we watch. I think most of our, like, good, when it's not watching Pestilli or
stuff to do with
Viva la Dirt League or someone, it's mostly watching motovloggers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like a load of them.
So, should we watch Liz's last 5 miles? I kind of want to fix whatever I've done wrong with the audio here.
Oh, because you've got no audio.
Yeah, I've tried to restart my audio.
So, who's saying? As much as this is Simon Dreyer, as much as I hate to admit it, the breaking eggs thing irks me every time as well. Ah, that's okay, Simon. It's art, It's art. You can't make an omelette-y intro
without breaking a few. Does it irk you? But I'm curious because the person whose objection was like, how dare you waste the produce of these chickens, was, I don't know, some sort of like ethical point of like, couldn't you have done it without breaking the eggs, or does it irk you in the way of like the goopy yolk and the because that was intentional. I like that irking bit.
No, I think it's the way, because we had a couple of people have commented to say, you broke some eggs, and I'm sorry I'm doing a funny voice, and that's obviously including you in it as well, Simon. So you broke some eggs.
That's a
but you know, I mean, it's like anything, like if you're making a paint, you know, old paintings, they'd break eggs to use on the thing to, you know, coat the paint, right? So it's art. I'm classing our work as art. So therefore you're allowed to break, what was it, 4 eggs?
4 eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. And we only did that one take, so it's not like we broke hundreds and then used one.
Yeah. So
I think it's okay.
I think I have the sound fixed now. Let's just switch to this. So we're now going to be able to see Liss's last 5 miles, which I think we've now got audio working for. Where Jim, as you may remember, you'll be about to see this. So it's probably a bit surplus to requirement. Snaps the petrol tap off his bike and it starts leaking fuel. So on that last ride we did, this was Liz trying to figure out how she would be able to get herself back. Her and Jim back home. So let's see if this is going to work with audio. There we go.
Oh! You're right.
Has that snapped the fuel tap end off? And it's leaking now. Well, I might have to try and get out of here then. So who wants to go with Jim then?
I don't mind, I can go.
Hoik!
Yeah. Sorry.
Don't do that one. That's the deep one. Jim's just gone through there. Is it Jim?
Yeah.
He's just gone through there and he's stalled it. It's really deep. I reckon for the bike marks here. That one there.
I'm just going to walk through it and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. all good?
Take fire. Oh boy.
Yeah, this was in the Wadigans, Bazza. This is Liz getting home. It's so disappointing how flat it looks. Like this dip she's coming up to is like maybe half the bike in height, and you got to sort of gauge it based on how much the windscreen is jerking up and down and all sorts of things other than being able to just see it. Yeah, very much agree. The Indian. We're definitely doing more group rides. We like them, but just because there's more people, there's sort of a little bit like what we like about Wayne's content. There's characters and things. Yeah, Bazza, I reckon the as you can see from this, Wadigans is crisscrossed with tracks a bit more than Yango, and crisscrossed with a huge variety of tracks from really muddy. Somebody just used, as Johnny Wombat just used this word, muddy quagmires, and I'll shut up. I was watching this at this point being like, how are you still on the bike? Oh, you're not.
Oh, bloody hell.
So that was how Liz got herself... Oh, I'm clipping. I'm going too loud now. How Liz got herself back up to the end of the road. Yeah, absolutely, Tok Tok. I would agree that the Royal Enfield Himalayan is a oops. Let's put us back on. Where are we? Bunker. Back to the bunker. Here we are. Fallout shelter bunker. Shuffle across. Yeah, Royal Enfield, beautiful bike. It's like if you want to do easy to, I would say, medium trails, or if you're a beginner, perfect. And yeah, right, better tires.
I think it's a fantastic bike. I really, really do. I think
We feel like we've got to defend the Himalayan a lot, don't we?
No, because I think people have this expectation of, they try and compare it and they go, oh, but compared to a DR650 or compared to a, I don't know,
I think a DR650 is the only fair comparison.
WR250 or something like that, and then go, well, it won't compare to those. And it's like, well, it's not really supposed to compare to those. It's more trying to compare to a cheap version of, like the
I think a DS
bigger adventure bikes. And
Yeah.
those bigger adventure bikes, you're not supposed to take on. They're not really designed for these sort of trails either. Like
and
our
they
friend
could
who
handle
was
it,
on
but
the.
price difference is
Yeah.
colossal. Like I paid twice as much for the KTM 690 Enduro, and that just means it's twice as likely to get nicked. You're twice as upset every time it crashes.
Baza, I need to find some new tracks. Done Yengo a million times now. Haha. Yengo is like, that was my first ride around Sydney with the bike, like a off-roading ride around Sydney.
Yeah.
And it's a great trail. Like, it's lovely with that lookout, looking over Mount Yengo. It's awesome. But yeah, it's the ride that everyone does because it's the nearest one. But yeah, the Wattigans is, I'd
Wattigans
say,
is better,
the
in my opinion.
best place to take a bike in the Sydney surrounds.
It'd be close to Lithgow. Around
Close
Lithgow
to
to me
Lithgow.
is pretty good in the same crisscross thing. Lithgow seems like it has more because it's really getting hilly towards Lithgow. So you get out to Lithgow and it's yeah, it's a slightly different playground, but it's both the Wattigans in that area near Lithgow, Nunes and all that have just utterly crisscrossed with trails, which is perfect because our group ride, we wanted something where if you get to a certain area and you go, we're no good for this, we don't have to go back 50 kilometres and hit the tarmac and go around it and ruin everybody's day. You just go, okay, I'll take that right away back and see where that goes, which is beautiful.
The Wattigans is closer to you.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
what are you doing?
Get
Spend your days in the Wattigans.
Get out to
no
the
need to go
Wattigans.
anywhere else.
What I got a Wattigan?
Another good place is Ourimbah, but they just closed one of the main roads through Ourimbah because they said it was getting so washed out. Which we took that. One of our videos has us going through Ourimbah. I think it's the video. What's the video? Where I fall into the water.
Oh, she drowned it.
She drowned it. Yeah, that one was in Ourimbah, and we go up the road that they've closed to get into the park, and it is really like it's supposed to be a main trail, and it's a real mess. So, yeah, no, I'd absolutely recommend. You'll have a great time. Like any trail you go down, you'll very easily find something fun to do.
So we're going to show our last video. I'm mindful we said we're going to be wrapping up at 11. I mean, I'm happy to keep going. There's still people here, but don't want to just outstay our welcome. Upcoming mods for the DR650. It's put in the chat if you care about that. I mean, there's so many videos and stuff about the mods.
Yeah.
The main one we're considering is the centre stand, but we'll happily chat about the mods that have been done to it, performance advantages, but let us know in the chat if you're curious about that. I was thinking to show our first video or read out and respond to some of the stupid comments. Imagine we've got somebody in the chat who we then... said that.
I blanked out everyone's name, so you know.
Yeah, but
I don't want to
I know
throw
that I
shade
wrote
on
that.
people, but I just think we get some funny comments.
Okay. We'll get back to their stupid comments.
So
Here we go.
Harry hasn't seen. Oh wait, sorry.
I haven't
The
seen
Indian.
these.
Before we start this, so the Indian has posted this question a few times. Always when we're in the middle of something, so we haven't got back to it. But third
Trigger
time he's
throttle.
asked. So trigger throttle and LHS brakes for your bike.
Left-hand side brakes. So do you mean that system where you can have like both a clutch lever and a brake lever on one side and a brake on the other hand? Because I've seen a system like that, which does actually interest me a little bit. No, okay. You can tell me. Yes. The delay here is making it so confusing. No to what and yes to what? I think it's really, yeah. I've been thinking about that a bit too, simply because I'm not very good with the foot brake, but I can see a lot of benefit for doing that kind of thing. And the other question you also asked before is a recluse clutch, which I'm also very much considering. Some of the things I think about those performance advantages are, I started out off-roading on a R1200 GS. it didn't teach me good habits. So some of what I wonder is, do I the one you saw was a hydraulic version? Yeah, it looks finger light, because that's one of the issues with the particularly because this hand doesn't work so great now. So for yoinking in the clutch, this finger won't do it by itself. It sort of it hurts after a while, but the clutch is also too heavy. So I have been wondering about that, because there's another system as well which just sort of, it doesn't add anything hydraulic. It just moves the clutch back, so you're doing a greater. It's just using the force of a lever, and that does appeal to me. Okay, so you're talking about a cable version. That's one finger for each. I am thinking about it, but I also kind of, some of it is, I'm like, I would just want to get better as a rider, you know, like, because like you can just keep throwing farkles on a bike, and you ride with some people where you're like, this is farkled to hell, and then you watch them ride and you're like, maybe could have spent some of that time, money, and effort elsewhere. Like, and I have nothing against people throwing farkles on their bikes. I love it. But I second the Klaus request. You want to meet the Klaus? Yeah, he will come traveling with you. He will sneak into your tent at night time. Read out some poetry to you, get you in the mood.
Oh no.
Oh
no.
God. Liz has been happy there'd been no Klaus for a while.
No, I love Klaus. I think he's fantastic. In the Winterhaus.
It's Klaus in the Winterhaus, looking for the Winterhaus. Where we find it? Oh, it's in Threadbar, Australia. You've got some snow there, if that's what you call this white stuff. Little dustings of snow. Yeah, I want an easy pull clutch. Center stand, easy chain lubing. So that's exactly, do you want to grab it? It's right there. Bubble wrap. Yep.
Bubble wrap.
So Liz was like, I got you a surprise. And the surprise is SW Motec, I think, isn't it?
Adventure Bikes Australia?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Motec. Yeah, Motec
yeah.
makes it. Yeah.
So we've got that. I've just been dragging my feet about putting it on, partly because I had a bunch of other fixes I needed to do. The float height needed adjusting in the carb. The triple clamp was waggling you may have seen on some of the videos. I was just having to bend my handlebars back into position. Needed to change the seat, bunch of other things. Plus, the bike's already so heavy, and I didn't want to lower the clearance, so I've been dragging my feet a bit on doing it, but I think I'll do it certainly if we're doing this next trip. So the plan for the next trip we'll tell you about in a moment.
Yes.
If we're going on that, I definitely want a centre stand, because you're loading your luggage exactly as you just said there. There, you got him, the Klaus. Hello, Tok Tok. How you doing? Yeah, we should go and drink some schnapps later in the Winterhaus. Yeah, so for like chain lubing and all of that, Tok Tok said that, isn't it? Yeah. No, who is it? Johnny Wombat said that. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm thinking of putting that on. I'm just worried that it's going to clang, or certainly on my old Enfield, you needed a really stiff spring, otherwise you'd hit bumps, and you could hear it hit the road afterwards. It would sort of fold down again.
But yeah, I think if you're doing long distance touring, you really need to get a centre stand, because something like having a puncture is in the middle of nowhere without something to prop your bike up on is just a nightmare. That
time we had to change it. It was just a front wheel too, which is a bit easier than a back wheel. But I spent 40 minutes to an hour just trying to find something to put the bike on.
Yeah.
It's almost easier out on the trails, because you can find a bit of log of wood or something, where we were in Yass. And so everything I looked at, I was like, that's somebody's step. That's a barrel, but whose barrel is it? Yeah.
Exotic Stoner Pony.
Quite a name there.
Quite a name.
Hello, Mr. Stoner Pony. Welcome to the party.
Hey, I love you guys. I nearly bought a Himalayan because of you, but decided to customize the CB250 instead.
CB250? Is that not like a road bike? Have you customized that to be off-road? Is a CB250... Hang on, let me just grab that.
Also, my mum's a Pommy.
Nice, okay. So
wonderful woman, I'm sure.
This is what you're talking about with the CB250. Got ya. Okay. Yeah, nice.
That's retro styling,
it's
isn't
really
it?
retro. I would love... See, that's the old classic styling. I would just love it if that would be good off-road. Like if you could get good suspension travel and power and everything out of it, which, I mean, I know a lot of the plastics are... Yeah. That wasn't a stupid comment. It shouldn't have stupid comments pop up after that. All right, let's go through... Let's see what some of these stupid comments say, because I haven't...
Harry hasn't looked at these stupid comments.
I haven't seen these, so there's a good chance that I'm going to have some unguarded responses to them. You are going to ride around the world. Oh.
This is one of our first videos, so we'd always said we're going to ride around the world.
Oh, and then you're riding around
I'm
off-road
terrible.
and you're tipping over on flat land and they're like, I don't know if you're going to make it. Look, I got to agree with you there. I don't like your comment, but it might be accurate. I don't.
See, we didn't even downvote it, so it's, you know.
Yeah, you can notice here, somebody's upvoted it. Hey, which prick upvoted that comment? That's the worst thing that gets me about the snarky comments is like, snarky comments is one thing and I get into an argument with them. But snarky comments that other people have upvoted, I'm like, hey, fuck all of you. Excuse my language, sorry. You can get a 2000 BMW GS 1200 for less than what you paid for that bike.
That was in my review of, of the Himalayan.
Oh, I could also buy a basket of fruit. I could buy lots of baskets of fruit, but a GS 1200 is a totally different bike for a totally different job. It doesn't look nice. The old GS 1200s are disgusting looking.
Why would I? Why, like, if people are already saying the bike's too heavy for me, why on earth would someone go, yeah, what you should do is a 20-year-old BMW 1200. That's a better buy.
And the GS 1200 is a great bike, but that's just a stupid suggestion for how tall are you?
We did downvote that. You're stupid.
That you got a blue down thumb. This is where you can tell what we think of things.
Simon Gray says, "Oh God, I hope I don't feature in this section."
That's what I was wondering. I was like, how do we know that these people are going to turn up? How tall are you, Liz? Because that bike has
5'7".
extraordinarily tall inseam. The old GS is even more than the new GS. Heavy as hell too. It's like, what do you get for it? More power. You don't want more power as a beginner. You're an idiot. The whole review was, is this bike good for a beginner? Is a bike with almost 100 brake horsepower a good idea for somebody who doesn't know how to use the throttle very well yet? No, it's not. You're an idiot.
What do you think? Should I get a BMW GS 1200, guys?
No, that person should get a punch to the brain.
This one's so good.
I don't know, bro, but these roads don't even look that hard. Born in India, I've gone through so much off-road on my Himalayan. This feels like a walk in the park type of terrain, at least from the video, but mediocre riding is the point of this channel, I guess. Wow. Hey, Ben Chut. Teri maa ki bahut sorry. You're a... Wow, congrats, you've done better riding. Have you uploaded it to your channel? I remember this because I clicked on your channel to be like, show me this wicked enduro riding you're doing in India. Because India's great for it. Like the thing you've got in India that I found on my... You knew that I was going to get cranky at some of these guys. Why did you make me do this, Liz?
The thing is, you have responded to this, and it is a good response. I should have put the response
What
in
did
it. And
I
your
say?
response has got like 15 votes on it.
So what does my response say?
I don't know. It's something like, I don't know. I don't remember. But it's...
Oh.
Just mediocre riding is the point of this channel, I guess. It's such a, it's so harsh.
It's just so... This is the thing. It's so easy. I mean, it's half of YouTube nowadays. It's half of the world. Is like, don't do something. Find somebody else who's doing something slightly less perfectly than you imagine you could do and film and edit and upload. And then based on that fictitious you, judge us as less good. Especially because the GoPro, I mean, part of his comment that I agree with is GoPros just make things look like what we upload it ourselves and are like, it does look like a walk in the park. But still, he's a prick. Here's what they call in India a banchot.
I'm going to modify my VMAX 1700 for off-road. Good idea.
That would be so awesome. Your channel would go absolutely gangbusters overnight. Yeah. That would be so good. A VMAX off-road. There's a few channels who've done that. They're very good. All right, what's this next one say? You guys are dangerous. Why, thank you. Yeah. Dangerous. Yeah. Especially, I have reduced respect for people who both criticize and don't put their, don't have a profile photo. Is there somebody behind me? Oh, I read this one and I wanted to reach, I almost deleted this because I went through and deleted a couple of comments on that review that I didn't want Liz reading.
They're insulting me.
Well, it was, anyway. Is there somebody behind me? You are waving all the time with both hands. Do you know those anglers depicting a huge fish? You are making that gesture all the time. Why? Can't you sit on your bike, show something like a panaya?
Yeah.
No, panaya. I mean, if they're going to be insulting, we're going to be insulting back. then your hands have something to do. I get so distracted by those hands. Please put them at work.
I did the bike review video, and at the beginning, because I'm so nervous, I'm like, this is the Himalayan. Wait, where's my, put my hands in. This is the Himalayan. And we do a thing, and we do this. And I had, my hands might have been a little jazzy.
The same each time, yeah.
You know, those anglers depicting big fish.
Yeah. I thought you did a great job for that, because you've done very little to no on-camera, like two-camera stuff before that, had you?
No, oh my God, the amount of time it took us to do that video, because Harry would be like, okay, go. And I'm like,
There's so many shots where she'd be like, I'd be like, you ready? And she'd be like, yep. And I'd be like, with this camera, I'd be like, and she'd go,
I'm just psyching myself up.
no, she wouldn't say anything. It'd be this. And I'd be like looking up from behind the camera being like, is she going to start? Like, I don't want to make her less comfortable, because that's some of the issue. You're like, should I just stop recording? And you want to say all these things, but you're like, it's going to make it worse. It's going to make it worse. So I'd be like, and then she'd be like, what am I saying again? I'm like, the thing we just discussed right before I press play.
Wait, someone's just asked, exotic stoner pony might be a common question, but how did you guys meet? I don't think anyone's ever asked us that, actually.
Don't think anybody cares. Thank you
Oh,
for
we're
asking.
just in the process of doing my Australian permanent residency.
Yeah.
So we have had to do this massive amount of documentation and all this sort of stuff about our relationship to prove that we're in a relationship.
And so you got to be like, where did you meet? And I'm like, we met at your birthday party through your friend. And Liz is like, no, that's not where we met. Where did you go on the first date? Oh, we went go-karting. That wasn't the first date, Harry. Just wrong about everything.
We met in London.
We did go go-karting, though.
We did go go-karting, second date.
Second date was
Harry made
go-karting.
us
And I was like, look, I'll show you how this is done. And Liz is like, okay, you're going to show me how to go-kart, are you? And I was like, look, so you want to really manage your revs, because this thing doesn't really have a clutch. So it's got no gearing. So, you know, the thing you need to understand. And also, the thing about turns is like, you want to go in wide so you can come out tight. And this is like, oh, is this how you go-kart? Thank you so much for your... Smashed me again and again and again. The only time I thought I won at go-karting, I came back and they're like, here's your lap times. And my lap times stayed exactly the same as what they'd been all day, which was way, way slower than Liz. And then Liz gets her lap time and it is like 4 minutes or something. We're like, the course is not 4 minutes long. So we go back to the guy and we're like, are you sure about this number? And he goes, oh no, a girl crashed her cart. And then we had to switch carts and I switched the wrong number. No, here's your number and it's her best time of the day. Just smoked it. Did you get on their leaderboard, I think?
I can't remember. It was definitely a good time. It was very
She was way better than me. So we never went go-karting and still have never been
We've never been
go-karting
back to
ever
the
again.
go-kart.
We don't do go-karting anymore. Nope.
Yeah.
It's not a thing we do anymore.
No, so we actually met at the pub. So a mutual friend. So it was a friend was organising a big pub get-together, and then another friend of mine also invited Harry, and he was at the time in another relationship. So they showed up to the pub, and I just killed that as a girl.
Murdered her.
Right there. And then we started dating the next day.
Kind of had to, didn't I?
Yep.
That'll get murdered as well.
Yeah, that's what I said.
She was like, do you see what happened to her? And I'm like, yeah, she's still bleeding.
Yeah.
It's just the pool of blood is... Anyway. Now she's teaching you off-road. Was Klaus there? No. Klaus didn't show up until she was well in the bag. She's not getting out of the bag. Now the Klaus is in here with you.
Haha, but
understand.
now she's teaching you off-road, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty soon we'll not ride motorbikes anymore. I'm confident. Yeah. It's getting close to that time. when we
Yeah,
have
the
to stop.
moment it's like, well, because we already had that bit with going up that slope with the enduro riders having to help me up that bit. But yep, I might have to abandon that. I'm still good at shooting though, so shotgun. We can go on shotgun holidays where we shoot things with a shotgun until this gets good at that, and then that'll be that.
We've seen you, both of you, ride, so this go-karting story comes as no surprise.
I'm good at explaining things. Even if I have, I'm sure this is a bloke thing. If I have like this much knowledge, I'm like, yeah, look, let me explain this to you.
Murder probably won't go well on your PR application list. We've made up some story that, apparently the relationship ended amicably
Yep.
outside of us meeting. And then what happened was the second time we met.
I
so-
went on. We had with that last person. I also had a really interesting relationship in that I'd applied to go on first dates in the UK, and then we'd started going out, and then I was like, after being like going out with her for a couple of months, I was like, "Are you okay with me going on first dates? Because this is still at the beginning." And she's like, "That's awesome. Yeah, go on first dates." So then
Harry is on an episode of First Dates in the UK. So any UK viewers, go and check it out.
yeah,
It's a good episode. I think, is it season 4?
not sure. It's on my
Not sure.
IMDb back from my Bollywood days.
Go
Just
and
drop
watch
that little
it.
one in there. So you guys know that you can enjoy the ride without the speed. I take it that all in the group are novice riders.
So that was the ride with Sydney Adventure Riders.
Oh, where we wreck off. Yeah. We weren't leading the group. Maybe just look for stuff to correct and complain about, I think. If you have a short film, Harry, contact me. I got a bunch of long films. There's one actually, Johnny, I was thinking about that I should talk to you about, where I want to buy a film that I was in that I'm a lead character in, that is and buy it and just redub it, just like make my own film out of their footage.
I don't think it would fit on your show, though. I think it's
Sort of
there.
version, right?
The film is about 3 hours long. Is this Parsi?
No,
Parsi
Parasi
Raja.
Raja, that was a big successful film. I mean The Flag, the other one. I'm the lead role in 2 films.
It's so good. This is, if you want to see another great Harry thing, there is called Tiranga.
Hamara Teranga.
Hamara Tiranga, which is a film. Harry used to be a Bollywood actor, and it was the last film he did before he left Bollywood.
No.
Oh, it wasn't even the last film.
So this was the first film I did. But Bollywood films being so intensely disorganised, this film sat on the shelf for 10 years. Oh, wow, somebody showed colour grading or something of it. What is
No,
this?
I want to see the music video. Find the music video.
Yeah. So Hamara Taranga, I think we do this.
So basically, he was in this film. It didn't get filmed, and then it finally came out about a year ago or something.
Yeah. So it came out once I'd long finished.
He was in a few films. Whenever I speak to like Indian friends and they're like, "Oh, right, name something he was in," I'm like, "Oh, do you know Dostana?"
I
They're
know
like,
Dostana.
I know Dostana. A friend of
It's a
a
very
friend of mine
small part
actually
of that.
I hadn't even told him about him being in Dostana, and he sent me a message the other day, and he was like, "So I was watching Dostana the other day, and I saw Harry."
Here we go. Shulni. I never knew the name of this song. This is typical of my Bollywood career, which was people being like, "Hey, can you dance?" And I'm like, "That's Rahul Dev. It's not me." They're like, "Hey, can you dance?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "He can probably dance." And then they try to teach me how to dance, and then they're like, "Please stop dancing. Don't do that anymore." So let me turn down that
Oh, there
volume.
he is.
There I am. So I've turned up in their village. That's me looking dapper. I've turned up in their village and I've started banging her. We have a sex scene, straight up sex scene. First scene I shot in the whole film. It was crazy. It was the weirdest, most amazing experience. So then I've started like killing all of her friends. So she's like, "Hey, this guy, maybe he's not so great." So she's going to like seduce me with her sexy hip thrusty moves. And I sit there with my crotch showing and my legs akimbo and smoking the cigar. They made a big. I showed off to the DOP, who's a lovely guy who I'm still friends with. I showed off to him that I knew
Did you
Zippo tricks.
Did you
and
get paid for Dostana?
I did, yeah. I got paid the equivalent of. Oh, look at this. So she's putting poison in my drink, and I caught her. Oh, look, that was actually I did acting there. Now I'm getting angry. Can you see my acting? I'm acting angry. That's how you act. You don't need any class.
If you have a short film, Harry, contact me. I need 15 minutes, lol.
15 minutes. No. We could possibly make a funny riding on eggshells one. Would that work, Johnny? If we made a
It would have
less
to be
than
a
15
proper
minutes.
acting thing.
Would it have to be an acting thing? It couldn't just be like a funny skit like I want about the GoPro? Good question. I'd love to put one on Johnny's show. It'd be great fun.
Maybe that's what we'll think about in our months that we're away, or a few weeks we're away. Have we seen enough of your wonderful?
No, I've got to see the bit where I murder. I think I murder her. Anyway, sorry. Spoiler alert. She's about to get murdered. I killed so many people in this film. absolutely. Oh, look at that. That was not her favourite scene to shoot.
It's so intense.
Yeah, baby. That's that.
Riding on eggshells, Nollywood.
Nollywood. Oh no, I never. A lot of people said that. They just go to Nigeria.
Yeah.
No, I did Mollywood and I did Bollywood, but no outside of India. What sort of Western Australian moron can't pronounce Himalayan? What sort of idiot can't tell that she's clearly not Western Australian?
I'm English.
So clearly not Western. I mean, I thought she was Irish when we first met. I was pretending to be Klaus at the time, so it was confusion all around.
Sometimes they're like, oh, I can hear some Australian accent. I'm like, no.
No, there is to the edge of some of your words I hear now.
No.
Mainly because when I hear you on the phone to your family, I'm like, oh, it's gone back to Geordie. Which is an interesting one because all of the Westerners, and myself included, despite speaking Hindi, would be like, no, it's Himalayan. A lot of Indian people are like, no, it's Himalayan. And I'm like, maybe it is. Because there are two A's in Hindi, where it is an R and an A, whereas in Australia they're virtually not quite interchangeable, but you're just meant to know which one's which, whereas it's written differently in Hindi. Sorry, after watching everything else seems so lame. I'm sorry, after reading everybody else's comments, yours seems shit. Sorry.
It's so mean. People have this obsession with like comparing. I think it's because of both having a Himalayan. There's a guy who commented and was like, "You're just trying to copy Itchy." And it's like, and it was so nice actually. It was really nice because this guy had gone, "Oh, you're obviously just trying to copy Itchy," and then there's all these comments below from people going, "No, they're just doing their." The only thing is they both have the same bike.
Yeah, female
they're doing their own thing,
riding an Enfield.
Like,
do you want to stop other females from riding Enfields or uploading videos about it?
Like we love her, but people get weird
They're
in the
fierce
comments.
about her. If you can say anything about any other YouTuber and people are like, well, you're entitled to your opinion. You say something, because at one stage someone was, I was stuck in a fierce debate with somebody about whether to sit up or stand or sit for off-road riding. And I'm like, look, I get what you're saying, which is I was encouraging Liz to stand on pretty much flat ground. And my reasoning for it was like, with trials riding and stuff like that, practice when you don't need to, so that when you do need to, you've got the skills. And people are like, well, if you watch Itchy Boots. And then I made the mistake of going, well, Itchy Boots is a great channel, but she doesn't really tackle many really difficult trails. Which she says. She said in a couple of her videos, she's like, yeah, I'm riding out here alone and unassisted. I don't want to get stuck down. Which I absolutely agree with. I wouldn't like it wasn't a criticism of her. It was just that is a statement of what she does. Wow,
she knows
people got
she
cranky.
rides in her limits because there was a video she did which I liked,
herself.
and she was gonna go through a forest. And it looked awesome, great ride. And she got sort of a bit through it, and then actually she ended up going, you know what? I don't want to be doing this on my own. And we looked at it and went, oh, well, I would tackle that, but it's only because there's the two of us.
Yeah.
So I know I would fall over and have problems, but I know I've got Harry to help me fix the bike. She rides. She's very sensible. She rides exactly what she can do, and she's awesome. I bloody love her. I watch every episode. The second it comes up, it's like, let me watch it. But people get crazy about her.
The lady should be the number of white knights that come to the channel being like, you're not looking after. Well, that's
This
why
is
we
the
made
last
a
one.
whole episode where Liz cut it down a bit because the joke was kind of laboured a bit, but so many people are like, you're not treating her right. If she was my girlfriend, I'd treat her much differently. Where I kept joking for a day, being like, you're not going to dump me for one of those guys who won't take you on, because so many comments are like, you shouldn't take her down those trails. You should wrap her in cotton wool.
Yeah.
I can't understand why she's still going out with you when you do that stupid accent.
People get very protective, which is lovely from my view. It's lovely.
It's silly. I think it's infantilizing. I don't blame feminism, but anyway.
This one I love because it's just it's just horrible to anyone who owns a bigger bike. So what was it?
The lady should be riding the lighter CRF, not the elephant adventure bike. Any bike over 180 kilos isn't meant to be ridden off-road. Just incorrect.
Nothing off-road.
Even DR650s, who is 150 to 160 kg with fuel, is quite uncomfortable and confident sapping when the trail gets gnarly. I'll stick to 250cc's and 400s like the DRZ to do off-roading. Great, you go for it. Those GS's, Triumph Tigers are just road bikes, but made heavy because many fools will buy them thinking it will bring them to an adventure. The only adventure it'll give them is the types that makes you pant, be out of breath, and get it off when you fell and it lands on you on the trails. Well, you need to learn how to use commas, my friend.
I just think, like, people just want to hate on people all the time. Like, yes, yeah, a Triumph Tiger or a GS 1200, you're not going to go and do single trail and, like, rip it up some crazy mud slide hill. No. But you can still have an awesome off-road ride. Like, you can still go and, yeah, you're going to have a slightly different layer, but you can still have a bloody good adventure on those big bikes. Like, what's with all the hate? Ah! Ah! Yeah. So there's our stupid comment thing. But as I say, that was so hard to find 10 because we don't get that much. Like, we get so much love. It's awesome.
I thought you were going to have that big, long back and forth I had with somebody where he's like, no, you should be sitting down all the time, except when you absolutely have to stand up. And I'm like, how are you going to have the skills to stand on the pegs if you've never done it until you get to a slope like that? You're like, oh, great, now I'll stand. And we just went back and forth. And I was like, Graham Jarvis says to do this. All of the coaching I've done says this. Or, you know, like, what's his guy that does those crazy wheelies on the KTM? He says to do this, and he's like, "No, you're wrong." I find him so frustrating.
Mike Darm says such a lovely comment. Says the best live I've watched. Huh. Thank you. I feel like we're a bit like haphazard, but thank you.
Good, that's what we're aiming for.
I so enjoy your approach of showing the real reality of off-roading for you guys. Thanks, Mike. P.S. I copy others by riding a Honda Goldwing.
Nice.
Those bikes are like, what was it? Missenden Flyer just got one, right?
Did he?
I'm pretty sure he did. He's been on his Instagram that I think.
Taking a Goldwing around a motocross track. Like he destroys it. It's not a complete bike after that. He's taking off jumps and smashes it to pieces. They seem like great fun.
Yeah, it's not a bike. I don't think we would have those bikes because we like doing the crazy off-road stuff. But I enjoy watching the videos of it. There's a few people...
If I could have a big garage full of bikes, I would absolutely have a big-ass cruiser like that. But at the moment, I keep trying to find and do everything.
Because you had a Shadow when you first moved to Australia.
Yeah, I regretted that.
It was too small for you anyway.
It was awful.
But... I quite enjoy, I've talked about that in a couple of comments before, we quite enjoy, there's a few sort of YouTubers, I can't even think their names because I don't subscribe to them, but I see their videos come up and I do watch a few of them, of guys who ride around on big sort of Harley style or Goldwing style bikes, and they just look like it's a lovely way to tour, you know, it's very like, get the wind in your hair, and a good way to enjoy the road. But
they've got speakers in them. Like the idea of listening to music, particularly when I'm like wearing a helmet, it's just so over the top. There's something I love about the Goldwing. This is an armchair. It's actually got armrests for the person in the back.
There's something cool. I'd love to go and do like a tour of America on like a big American bike. You know, that sounds cool. But then at the same time, we were like, but I want to go to Utah and do the like off-roady stuff. I
think I'd always end up on something knobbly. Nimble and knobbly.
Commas, for the love of God, man. But also, I agree, the KLR 650 is the biggest adventure bike I would ride. Yeah,
KLR was the other thing we were considering. Well, KLR, it was a KLR or the DR. Anymore? Yeah, KLR is still in production. It's the KLR and the DR are known as the sort of bulletproof, go anywhere, do anything bikes. The KLR they're very similar in that they have a few fatal flaws that you've got to work around, but aside from that, bulletproof and will last forever. Mm-hmm.
So, I think we've got one more video to show.
And then it's probably time to wrap up after it.
Yeah, so we'll do this video and then we will do like another 10 minutes maybe of chat. I've got one more question from when people ask questions before the thing. So then we'll do this video and then do another 10 minutes and then that's about it. But this video is our very first video that we tried to make together. It's only 3 minutes long and it is before I even had a motorbike.
Insisted that we go on a bike ride today. Possibly one of the hottest days of the year. Do you have anything? Sure, I had the volume high enough, sorry. So, this has insisted that we go on a bike ride today. possibly one of the hottest days of the year. Do you have anything to say for yourself? It's going to be great. Adventure. That was utterly awful. That was just really unpleasant. That gave me a giggle watching that again. Oh shit, we've lost the camera. There we go. And turn that one off. Alright, so we're back to the standard old camera.
That's right. It is me being better as usual. This is definitely like my expertise area though. I was always big into my riding.
Yeah.
I never get to ride bikes anymore in Australia. Like the UK is the perfect place to ride a bicycle. Like I used to go weekend touring, you know, Friday I'd set off and go and camp in some farmer's field on Friday night, and then camp in another farmer's field on Saturday night, then just get the train back.
Do you go up and like say to the farmer, "Hey, can I go camp in your field?"
Oh no, they have like they have camping.
Right.
It's just a farmer's field.
Right.
You just can't really do it in Australia. There's not
You
enough
gotta ride
stuff
300
to go
kilometres
through,
to
you
get to
know?
the
Yeah.
next town.
Because you're only going 50 miles a day with all that stuff on it. Or I am. I'm pretty slow. But, that was such good fun. Yeah.
That was a fun video. We had fun making that.
Yeah.
We were like, because I had a lovely day, but Liz had been like, it would be much funnier if I'm dragging you along and you're not enjoying it. So it was a fun, silly shoot, I think.
Yeah. So a bit different.
So you said there was a question or something that we'd
Oh,
gotten here?
yeah. So, wait a minute.
Somebody had also said something about the Motino's Moto Inos Ducati, please.
I don't know what that
Alternative suspension
means.
system. Oh, check it out.
So, the other question that got asked on our, before the thing. Have you been checking Facebook in case people have mentioned?
No, Facebook. We didn't go live on Facebook. It didn't work.
Ah, okay. Okay. So it was, my question, we already answered it.
What's that?
My question would be, now that you've taken the DR for a few rides, what's the biggest difference you notice between that and the Himalayan?
Oh, right.
Both the wife and I have a Himalayan and loving it so far, but needs some more dirt-oriented tyres. Yeah, change tyres, absolutely. But
That would be the main thing, really.
yeah,
Change the tyres. If there's a good chance that somebody's figured out the right sort of jetting to get a lot more power out of it, because I imagine if you open the exhaust and did a few a bit of tinkling with the carburetor, you could probably get it to really roar a bit more. Where normally those things are dulled down a lot to pass emission standards and things like that. Yeah, but I would say the main bit would just be change the tyres. Particularly if your list is height, there's nothing you need to do for the ergs. It was a very comfortable bike ergonomically, wasn't it?
yeah. I mean, yeah. I'll talk forever about how much I love the Himalayan, but it reached the limit of what it can do, and we wanted to be more off-roady. Like that's the only thing that I will say. It's great for what we were doing at first. It's a great bike. It really is, especially at the price point. But it's just not designed for the stuff we're doing now.
Single track and tricky stuff.
Yeah. All right. So I think.
Thank you all so much. Really, thank you so much for joining us. It's really touching to see that we've got where is it? Where's
still
the
50
thing?
people or
50 people, 44 people still watching. So thank you so much for giving up a chunk of your weekend to join us. And thank you also, because I imagine to find this, you've been subscribers. We really do appreciate you. Honestly appreciate the watching and the commenting. It's sort of, Liz and I will sit there after we upload a video being like looking at how many people have viewed it, and it's so you've got so many choices of different people to watch. We really do appreciate you've come by today and any other time you do.
Yeah, thanks for all the questions and being really chatty, and that's awesome. And I think we're going to take probably, I'd say sort of until the end of September off. It's my birthday, and we've got to finish off this permanent residency stuff that I've got lingering over my head. So probably beginning of October you'll see another video.
And it's not to say we're stopping shooting or stopping making stuff. We're just probably, in fact, during that time we'll be actually shooting more stuff.
Yeah.
But just not, because the grind of editing and the sort of like, have you done your episode this week? Because we, in case you haven't noticed, we pretty much take it in turns. So we're definitely coming back to it. And if you've got any suggestions about stuff you'd like to see, or where you think, because I think we need to, without the spectre of a world trip being able to go, we probably need to, pivot a bit. So if you've got any suggestions about that, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, you might see, because what we might end up doing is we've got a couple of episodes of like silly skits that we did and haven't uploaded. So you might even see a couple of those silly skits come up this month. But certainly on normal moto vlogging, you won't see anything for September. So yeah.
But we will see you again soon. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend, and
please not too long.
Not too long. Yeah.
We will. See you soon.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.